What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning. Happy Football Friday from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. 2 contract extensions happened yesterday in the NFL that reshaped money for both of their positions. The Dolphins and fullback Alec Ingold have agreed to terms on a 3-year extension worth up to $17 million. Ingold passes Pat Ricard as the AFC's highest paid fullback on the deal that ties for the versatile weapon and team leader to Miami through 2026. And now to my brother, TJ Hawkinson. He signed a 4-year, $68 million contract that resets the tight end market. The $17.125 million annual and $42.5 million guaranteed are the highest for a tight end in NFL history. Some college football scores from last night. Minnesota and PJ Fleck rode the boat right over the rejuvenation tour of Matt Rule. Minnesota over the Cornhuskers 13-10. UCF beat Kent State in the highest scoring matchup of the night, 56-6. And Utah takes down Florida to get week 1 revenge from 2022, 24-11. And this weekend, the only game that concerns you guys, the Vols. You can catch pregame right here on 104.5 The Zone starting at 9 a.m. And kickoff is at 11 for the Vols and Virginia. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, and in 24 hours, it will be a Tennessee football game day in the heart of the Music City. Life good if you're wearing Pantone 151C on this Friday morning. Tennessee getting ready to play tomorrow, and before they do, the Florida Gators are already 0-1. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Robert Walsh, our producer. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We've been saying it somewhat sarcastically for months, but football is back. And it's Friday, which means we're going to act like it.
We can act like it. Yes, sir. They work 9 to 5.
If you want to party.
Oh, we're going to party today, that's for sure. It's Friday,
It's
Friday.
a football Friday in Nashville, Tennessee. It is 60 degrees outside. And for the first time, probably since February, I was genuinely cold when I got out of my car this morning. Feels good to be back. How are we doing,
There
everybody?
we go. We're good. Bert's got a new contract deal. Like, he's making some big bucks now. I was happy for my guy.
Reset the tight end
football.
market.
What,
Hey,
what happened?
We ain't got to go
TJ
tell everybody
Hawkinson.
about that.
Bert Hawkinson.
We do not have to tell everybody about that. I'm trying to hide my money. I don't want relatives calling me.
Okay.
He sound like Tajay Spears right
Yeah.
now, going back to New Orleans, man. New ticket calls, ticket
Right?
requests is crazy. Bert, you get new family members when you get new contracts, man.
How annoying are those requests? I'm sure you got a ton of those over your
my
playing
gosh.
career.
Yes, I did.
It's
man.
tough, yeah, honestly.
Is there a correct way to ask for tickets?
It really ain't, because it's different versions of asking for tickets too. Don't hit me up with the pre-call. Hey, fam, what's going on? Hey, cuz, how you been, man? Just checking on you. That's on a Monday. And by Wednesday, when they know it's ticket designation day, cuz, you mind if I get some tickets this week? Like, do you understand that I have to pay for these tickets too? And
You do?
heck yeah, you get 2 comps.
Oh.
And
Okay.
any ticket after that, it comes out of your check. It's been times where I've been minus coming down here, going to St. Louis, Atlanta a little bit, anywhere around the Southeast, Pittsburgh sometimes too, if I had a lot of family members come up, about minus my check, man, $3,000 to $5,000.
All righty then. Didn't know that.
Yeah. You ask for tickets sometimes, that comes out of your check.
Do those usually come under the couch, or are they between the couch cushions when you
Hey,
I'm kidding.
hey, jeez. I'm telling you, dog. And you don't that sounds so first world. You don't realize it until you check your pay stub. It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Sure.
$3,800 for what? You remember those like 12 tickets you got last week? Like that was a part of it. And then, of course, you get some people that figure out, like, I'd always send my family in the club level, like, hey, can I get 4 clubs? Like,
And those are more pricey.
Yeah, those are more pricey. Pittsburgh tickets was like, dude, $89 a ticket. And then if you get if you ended up getting the club level, they were like $150 or something like that, a ticket. And also jerseys, too, Bert. Those, hey, can I get a jersey? Which one you want?
Yeah.
Screen printed?
You can have one of my socks.
You get
Yeah, exactly.
Screen printed were $185, and the stitched on letters was $225.
They don't even do the stitched on anymore for us normal folk.
You know? Oh man!
I think I've outgrown wearing football jerseys, though.
I remember you said that last week.
I've not outgrown all jerseys. I feel like I have outgrown wearing football jerseys.
Football jerseys.
For me personally, I don't judge anybody who does, but
I feel like I'm past wearing basketball jerseys though.
that's fair.
Because I used to love them. I had a Penny Hardaway Magic, Orlando Magics with the blue with the
Your
shooting
fist fall
star
up
on
the
it.
second you put it on.
Yeah, it did. It did. Okay.
You started ducking smoke everywhere you went.
But that was tough when they redesigned their Orlando Magic jersey. But of course, wearing that blue one with the white undershirt underneath
That's
it.
what I was going to ask. Did you wear an undershirt?
Clutch. Yeah, and that's
Because
the thing.
some did not.
Yeah, some did not. I'm not a non undershirt basketball.
I am.
You are?
I do not wear an undershirt with a basketball jersey.
got-
You
Gotta
ready
wear-
to hoop?
Huh?
You're ready to hoop when you put on the basketball jersey.
That's also why I don't wear basketball jerseys.
Yeah.
The
I have
problem,
not
the
put
problem
one on in
is
so
we,
long.
we don't drink outside during the day anymore. You know, in college, the
Right.
move when you go to Darty's or something was always to wear the basketball jerseys because it was hot. You could have no sleeves on. Let the girls check out the guns.
Yeah.
Like nowadays during the day, I'm like mowing the yard, and I'm not going to mow the yard in a Vince Carter Raptors jersey.
Yeah, right. You got
If
like
I
a-
did, they'd be like, "That is one cool dude. That guy knows how to party."
Also, any guy I stood by who wore those, their pits smelled. So that was the other
So
problem.
you got to bring the deodorant with you. You got
Yeah,
to be strapped
please.
with the
God.
I ain't
the
trying to
degree
impress
for
nobody.
men.
I ain't trying to impress nobody.
You
The
know-
stank is free.
You know what you're getting.
The stank is free.
All right, most stereotypical fraternity guy jerseys go. Michael Jordan Dream Team, Toon Squad.
Oh my God.
Toon Squad has to be number
Toon
one.
Squad.
Yeah.
Doing a
definitely.
Space Jam Toon Squad jersey
The-
has to be number one.
The Dennis Rodman 91.
Oh, okay.
I actually don't
always
see that
shows
one
up.
really
I've
much.
seen the Dennis Rodman 91 show up.
I have a lot of Kemps up where I'm from.
In college, it was
Yep.
whoever the hot
Sonics.
quarterback was. So like Baker Mayfield got a lot of jersey love. What's the cat out of Texas A&M? Johnny
Manziel.
Johnny
Manziel.
Manziel
Yeah, that's
got a lot
true.
of love.
Ugh.
You get a lot of just Yankees jerseys.
the
Dodgers
D-Wade
jerseys.
3 jersey is always a hot item.
Oh yeah. If there was a
D-Wade
Wolf of
3,
Wall
yes.
Street jersey, they would be sold out in college.
I'm going to say number one now is the number 8 Kobe after he passed
Going
away.
Oh, yeah.
It's going there.
Kobe
Yep.
after he
Yep.
passed away, and then Tom Brady. You could go anywhere at a sports bar, anywhere you went to college, and if you were going to watch NFL, it's like, oh, look, that guy, I wonder when he became a Patriots fan. And is he ready for Yankee spring training? Who's to say?
You always see the Denver Carmelo jersey. That one was always
That's a
one that stuck
popular
out
one,
too.
Our
Yes.
generational gap is showing. Ramon.
It is.
I know you heard me with Kemp. They're
Sean
like, who's Kemp?
Man.
Well, I know Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp.
Yeah, Sean Kemp. By the
Now
way,
it's Steph Curry more than anybody.
It
Probably.
is
Yeah.
Steph. Went to my youngest football game last night at Beach. It was, by the way, there. Everything everybody knows. Their stands kind of fell in and got condemned. And to watch the game last night, we sat around the football field in chairs. It was by
Wait,
far one of the
you did?
coolest. Yeah, because they can't use either stands right now. And I'm sure
You have
they're
a
probably about
picture?
to build an immaculate. I'm talking about immaculate like stadium with these new stands or whatnot. But it was sort of like a big town hall like meeting, watching the football game
I'm
last
trying to
night.
picture it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was real cool last night, man. And then I saw one of the older gentlemen, and he walked in, he was like, hey, what we got to complain about today? I was like, man, He said, we got no parents fighting. He was talking about last week, the parents were trying to fight at the game.
Yep.
He's like, we got nice weather and we got football. I said, you know what?
That's all you need.
And he had on, guess what kind of sweatshirt he had on, y'all? Guess what kind of sweatshirt he had on?
Is it a ball switcher?
You better.
Yeah.
Hey!
Good people.
There it is.
Yeah! It was a good time seeing him in that sweater last night, man. And it was that nice, crisp fall weather last night,
was.
y'all. My wife got cold. I
Was it
said,
really?
good. You should be cold.
You best be cold.
Best be cold.
It felt good having a dress rehearsal for driving to Knoxville yesterday, and then coming straight back. But it was not as cold in Knoxville last night.
It
But that's okay.
wasn't?
It was still cooler.
Okay.
But it wasn't. We didn't have the fall breeze like we had here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it was nice.
That's surprising because Knoxville usually gets it first.
Mm-hmm.
Depends.
Depends. Is it the hurricane?
They'll
that's
get
going
it
up
in
the
the
east?
morning. No, not yet.
No, not that.
They'll get it in the morning more so,
Mm-hmm.
and like the fog off the Smokies.
That is a beautiful sight.
Oh,
Kayla,
it's great.
on campus. I know Washington got the trees and sights and everything too, but that Knoxville, I enjoyed it because West Tennessee was so flat.
Well, sure. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
a definitely a different kind of
Yeah.
what would you call it?
Scenery, landscaping. Yeah.
Coming up this morning, Brent Hubbs of VolQuest at 7:20. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, stops by at 8:20. Sammy Kincaid talks some high school football with us at 8:45. She'll be on the sidelines again tonight for My TV 30, our 104.5 The Zone teammate. And then we've got Andy Staples of On3, a little On3 local at 7:20 with VolQuest, and nationally with Andy at 9:20. Gonna be good. We've got coming up next, though, our on the record college football playoff predictions. Get the whiteboard ready. Going on the record with our top four coming up next.
Yeah, you heard us on the show just talking about it. It was actually cold when we woke up this morning. Maybe you're seeing some weird condensation on your windows, Ramon. That's probably not a good thing. So that's why we're here to tell you that even though it is summertime and you've got the hot temperatures during the day, if you're seeing that type of stuff on the windows, it probably means you need new windows. So that is why we have a solution for you. New windows from our friends at Window Nations. Right now, you can save thousands with no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. Plus, get 50% off any style of windows. They have different styles, so many of them, bows, bays, double hung, and you can really protect an increase of your home today. Don't push it off anymore. Go ahead and check them out at windownation.com. And remember, call this week, get an extra 10% off your order.
And on top of that, you can trust Window Nation. All they do is windows, and they're experts that installed over 200,000 windows last year. It's 40 times more than the average window company. It's simple, y'all. Stop thinking about this. Call 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon and Kayla sent you.
Football Friday on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up in minutes, we get to our college football playoff predictions. All of us going on the record. 4 people and 4 teams.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where the people go. 615-737-1045. Tony in Franklin leads us off on the phone lines, talking about some old school jerseys that are rocked with frequency. We begin with Tony here on the phone lines. What's up, Tony?
What's up, Tony?
Tony.
Paging Tony.
Freaking bum.
Oh, he's in a bad area.
We'll try Tony again in a moment. Let's go to Eric in Nashville. 615-737-1045. What's up, Eric?
Rocky top of the morning, everybody. How we doing?
Feels good to hear that again, Eric.
Good morning.
Oh, man, this is lovely, isn't it?
It is.
I get up in the morning, take the dog out to take his morning roll tide. It's 60 degrees, cold. Florida got curb stomped last night, which just warmed the cockles of my heart, and I love having my cockles warmed in my heart. Won a little money on that, too, so that's a little side thing. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And then I get in the car, and the first thing I hear is we're cranking Rocky Top. We ready to go or what?
We are ready.
I'm telling
Ooh,
you.
this is the most excited a man can get with his clothes on. I'm ready to go for this weekend. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a pick-your-score game tomorrow. Tennessee's going to they might start off a little slow trying to get the new offensive line figured out, but and I'm ready for this season. I'm ready to roll. The Vols are back, and boy, let's go. That's all I got. I'm just ready to roll. Y'all have a good one, and go Vols.
Go Vols,
Thank you,
baby.
Eric. Appreciate the call.
Wow,
Eric is-
there was a lot to unfold in that.
It was,
Lot
wasn't
tenfold.
it? You heard a lot of energy in that one, though. I was
Yeah.
enjoying the energy. He couldn't really get his words together. He said his dog went out and took a roll tide this morning.
I know, I
don't
was
even-
confused.
I never, honestly, I almost used the dump button when he said those 2 words. So this is a thing now on our Nashville SC broadcast. I was telling Jaleel Alibaba that I've never said those words in my life. And then Jackson Williams, our producer, said, yeah, I haven't either. And so Jaleel is like, every time we get on the headset, he's like, what do I got to pay you guys? Just say the 2 words.
jeez.
Well, what's your price? What's the price?
I heard him offer you a steak dinner the other night when y'all were in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had a bet
I
going.
would probably do that.
We might find out. We'll like taking these side bets for food and for workouts. It's
Sure.
one
I mean,
of
side
the
bets.
2. Because our bet on the roster, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Right.
you and Jaleel's bet on goals.
steak.
Yeah, it was goals the other day. It was a steak dinner. Jaleel said he was going to take him anywhere he wanted to go.
Dang. I'm about that.
Good people. It's the kind of
go.
people I want to
Man.
surround with in my life.
Pick the best steak up.
Tony and Franklin, let's try this again on the phone lines this morning. Tony, you got us? Nope. All right. Over
Freaking
to
bum.
my gosh,
Fool me once. We gotta turn the radio off when we're
Oh,
when we're calling in.
Tony.
I was rooting for you too, Tony.
You know what they say? Fool me once, strike 1. Fool me twice,
Shane.
strike 3.
Okay.
Michael Scott. Let's pick our college football playoff. Top 4 teams.
Top 14.
Starting with number 1.
Georgia. That's what I
Yeah.
got. Georgia's number 1.
Georgia's number 1. It's hard to not say that right now.
Yeah. Everything's pointing in that direction. By the way, they released videos, I think, of their indoor yesterday. I didn't know your style, Georgia.
Oh, they got
Pretty
even more
legit,
new
too.
stuff now. Okay.
Yeah, I think they got an X-ray MRI machine inside their
Golly.
building. Jeez. But I got Georgia's number 1, though.
Yep.
Until proven
Me
different
too.
otherwise, I don't think their quarterback is that bad. Or you can't be that bad of a quarterback if with all that talent that you have behind you. I think Stetson Bennett created a template for what you're supposed to do moving forward.
Yeah, Georgia's schedule is easy enough. I've got them at 13-0, the SEC champions, as the number 1 seed as well.
I don't see anything wrong with that, Will Bowling.
Number 2.
Mine is Ohio State.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting. Why them over Michigan?
Ohio State's got to get some get back this year. I do believe in that. I don't know if those teams can really push themselves down the totem pole like that, and just the wide receiver core that they have. It'll be interesting if Michigan's secondary can actually keep up with what they got going on in the passing game. And somehow each year, Ohio State always have a D tackle or D end that is a game wrecker.
Mm-hmm.
And for those reasons, with Michigan's running game, I feel like Ohio State will be able to kind of supplant them a little bit this year.
I think with Ohio State, just real quick, they have the toughest schedule, I think, of those Big Ten teams.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to Notre Dame on September 23rd.
That's difficult.
They host Penn State. I know that game is in Columbus. Penn State always plays Ohio State closer than most of those other Big Ten teams do. Penn State needs to, get over the hump and win one of them. But and then they got to go to the Big House, which is difficult.
Yeah.
Last week of the season. Kayla, who do you have number 2?
Well, my friends won't like me up there, but I've got Michigan. Speaking of Ohio State, you don't want to say Roll Tide. They do not say Michigan up there.
They don't.
They do not say Michigan.
Team up
that
north.
team up north. They will not say Michigan. I just look at Harbaugh at one point. I thought he was done. I was like, there is no way he's staying at Michigan. Like, he's not fit for this. Like, it's too much for him at his alma mater. Like, he's not developing these guys at all. And then it turned quickly. He got in a different staff. I think it's been headed in the right direction. But the biggest thing is he's beat Ohio State. And up there, that big game, means everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't beat the other one, and now it's looking like Ryan Day, they're already starting to look at him and be like, you better beat Michigan at some point, else it doesn't matter what your record is.
Yeah.
I just think Michigan has too much going for it right now. That offensive line might be one of the best in the country. I mean, and to protect for their quarterback, who I feel like in J.J. McCarthy is going to have a really big year. They haven't had a lot of that before in terms of a solid quarterback, everything positioned right, a running game. I just think they're too difficult of a team to beat for an Ohio State, even with that rivalry. So I'm gonna take Michigan at the 2 spot.
I'm also going Michigan too, but I'm picking them instead of Penn State. I think Penn State jumps Ohio State in the hierarchy this season. When you think about what Michigan has on their schedule, really the Penn State game in State College on November 11th, that's the kicker for a Michigan team that will not be as challenged as much early in the season against a team like Notre Dame, like Ohio State will. I think ultimately that's why I believe a little bit more in Michigan and Penn State to last longer in that schedule and not have the early challenge. I think Ohio State goes to Notre Dame and wins at the end of September, but that's a much tougher test than what Michigan has to handle in their schedule early, where in the month of September they have East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers. So I think for this one specifically, it is Michigan having the advantage, and the way they ran the football against Penn State last season was downright disrespectful.
Yeah.
They ran the ball 55 times for 418 yards, never punted, and never turned the ball over on downs against Penn State last season. I know that game is in State College. Give me Michigan running the table, number 2 in the college football playoff rankings at an undefeated again, 13-0.
I'm actually a little shocked you're high up on Penn State. Not even on your Michigan take.
Drew Allar is the kind of quarterback that takes a talented team to the contender level.
Okay.
I don't think they are in the college football playoff. I think they are in the New Year's Six.
Okay.
I think they'll be in the conversation all season. I think where this thing gets really interesting is at 3 and 4.
Yep.
Because you can really slot in the SEC champion and the Big Ten champion 1 and 2. And then you've got a lot of options between first-time playoff contenders and then all the other ones that have been there since day one. Number 3, Ramon Foster.
My number 3, man, and it may be their last time, possibly. Nah, I can't say that. My next team after this will be their last time. I got Texas.
Okay.
I'll have Texas, man.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. I like it.
I took a sip. I'll be real with you. I did take a sip. Sarkisian is walking around with a different air. I don't think you're going to see him sway and side to side coming out of the tunnel. I think he learned a whole lot. Quinn Ewers, having a little bit of pressure behind him this year too. And I think they may have just honestly lit the flame as far as their team goes. Defensively, I think they will be much better than they were last year. And just the operation of this offense, they got weapons.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm sitting in. And the Big 12 in general, I mean, who's going to compete with them? If they're a Power 5, what is the biggest hiccup in that division? It's nobody.
A November 11th trip to TCU.
TCU, I want to see who TCU have coming up this week.
They have. Oh shoot,
Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, I want to see
be.
that. I know Colorado doesn't have much going for them right now, but I do want to see how they compete against them. Like if they really put their face in the dirt, then they'll make me a little bit more of a believer. And that's no offense to our guy here, Frog, Coach Mack.
Frog.
Fair enough.
But I got Texas in it.
Texas, it could get interesting for them if they lose to Alabama. In week 2 in the All-State Crossbar Classic, because then they've got to run the table to make the playoff. A 2-loss Texas out of the Big 12 is not making the college football playoff.
I actually got them winning Alabama.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay.
got them beating Alabama?
Yes, I do.
So you have Alabama at least losing twice this year. Because you have Alabama losing to Tennessee later in the year, too.
Real pro tip, Alabama's not in my top 4.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'd say you're in the majority with that.
Yeah.
They're not in my top 4.
I think most people are starting to come around on LSU usurping them in the SEC West, but more on that coming up in a minute.
Yes, absolutely.
Kayla, number 3.
This is painful to talk about.
Do it.
But I've been following them pretty intently the last, couple years, and I've only seen just incredible progression. And with Michael Penix Jr. coming back, that offense is potent over there.
Hey.
The Pac-12 is difficult this year. It's not easy. I will say that. However, I think Washington has a special team.
Oh, wow.
Washington once been able to make the college football playoff before. I think in the last, year of the Pac-12, I would love to see a Pac-12 representative. So I'm going to give that representation to Washington, which again pains me to do because I hate Washington. But if any team has enough to run the table in the Pac-12 and represent with the talent that they have this year, the coaching, the quarterback, it's going to be UW. It's not going to be USC. It's not going to be Oregon. It's going to be UW.
Why them over USC?
USC has no defense. And I firmly believe that watching USC last year, there's not been a lot of difference with the defense this year. There's not been a lot of change. There's not been a lot of, added emphasis on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that they're going to get beat by a couple teams in the Pac-12.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Even with Caleb Williams.
Washington has a veteran quarterback that goes a long way.
Interesting. Okay. Washington. Kayla, big Washington fan, if you know her at all.
I'm not a UW fan. I hate purple.
My number 3 team is the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Mm-hmm.
We have written them off too quickly. And the thing that scares me the most about Alabama this season is they are back to the way Nick Saban has previously won championships. I think it does not matter whatsoever who the quarterback is by the end of the season. I've got Alabama going 12-1 with a loss to Georgia in the SEC championship and getting in as the number 3 team. I think their offensive line brings back a lot of experience. Their defensive front, Dallas Turner coming back, is kind of that Will Anderson level pass rusher. He's not, I would imagine, quite to that level, but they didn't really. We're not sounding the end of the Alabama pass rush just because Will Anderson is now an Arizona Cardinal. I think Alabama has a nasty run game. And if that offensive line is able to get back to Alabama level offensive line play, then I think they are a playoff team. Alabama's offensive line has not been up to Alabama standards the past few seasons. And maybe referees realized that they could call holding against Alabama, what was the streak? They hadn't done it in like 5 seasons at one point. But give me Alabama as the SEC runner-up and the number 3 team in the college football playoff. Ramon Foster, number 4.
My number 4, USC. I think the
Interesting.
pathway is easier than
Interesting.
most when it comes out of it. And it'll also probably be the last time being in the college football playoffs going to the Big Ten.
Right. So
I'm giving them a concession right here, man. But I do think this, though, to your point, though, Kelly, they have no defense, but they have offense. I think efficiently, their offense will be efficient enough to survive the Pac-12 to get out of it. No real contenders on there. Notre Dame, I think they can outduel Notre Dame. The Utah game last night, a better team beats Utah. Florida was cheeks last night. The way I look at the way their schedule's set up. The duel with Washington will be very, very interesting, too.
still was their first game of the season, too, and they did not have Cam Rising.
Yeah, did not have Cam Rising. But I'll actually take USC to come out of the Pac-12 this year. And if they do, they will be in the college football playoffs.
Interesting.
Hey, we should have a head-to-head
Those are my
bet then.
four. We should. I'm game. You think of it.
Will Anderson, a Texan, by the way. It's early. Sorry. Landed in the FNN Bank chat correcting me. That's
There we
correct.
go.
All right, Kayla, number 4.
Alabama.
Okay.
I got to get them in there. I don't think they're going to be undefeated. Obviously, they can't be because Georgia's number 1. But I think they're going to sneak in. I think it might be a Nick Saban final farewell tour.
Okay. So there is Alabama 4 for Kayla. I'm going, this was a hard pick. I was between 3 teams for my 4th pick. I was between Oregon, Florida State, and the team I am picking, Steve Sarkisian's Texas Longhorns. In college football, there is a very clear path to winning a national championship or playing for a playoff. Stack together 2 to 3 top 5 recruiting classes. It's exactly what Texas did. Number 5 ranked class in 2022, the number 3 ranked class according to On3 in 2023. They've got a quarterback that has as much arm talent as anyone in that top group of teams in Quinn Ewers. And I think if he had stayed healthy in that Alabama game last year, Alabama would have already had a loss when they came to Knoxville, and Texas would have beaten them as well. So I just think that team, yes, they have to overcome a lot of just being idiots because they wear burnt orange and, it's Texas. But if they could avoid the, oh no, Texas is not back kind of mistakes, then I think they are in the college football playoff and they have the best chance out of those first timers to get there. Florida State really, really intrigued me. The transfers they've added, Jared Verse on the defensive side of the football, they return more offensive production than anyone else in college football, according to a lot of the stats and the analytics. So I think for them, the only reason I'm not going with Florida State is in the divisionless ACC, can they get past Clemson multiple times?
That was my thing.
And that's the thing that I think gets tricky. I think with Garrett Riley, Clemson is not quite back to normal, but I can't bet on Florida State sweeping that and beating LSU. I can more so bet on Texas running the table in the Big 12 after a loss to Alabama, more so than I can betting on Florida State multiple times against Clemson.
And I just want to add real quick before we go to your point about the last 2 or 3 you had picked out. To hold true to my Vols prediction, I had them and Michigan the next 2 out. So 5 and 6, however you want to splice those 2. I don't think Michigan's going to be bad, but to your point, though, there's and Babsy hit us up too.
Yeah.
And says she's got a Florida State as the college football playoff.
They're legit.
It's not a bad pick. They're on the up and up again. I'll tell you that much.
Totally legit.
Yep.
A ton of talent down there in Tallahassee. So for me, Oregon was really tempting because I'm a believer in what Dan Lanning is doing there. And I think the improvement they made over the course of last season from the smattering in Atlanta against Georgia to the end of the year, I think Dan Lanning gets them back to the playoff in the next 2 seasons after this year. Granted, it's an expanded playoff after this year, but I really do think that he is going to bring them back to what they were under Chip Kelly at their best.
Let's see it.
So there you go. Our top 4s. So I go Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Texas in that order. Kayla has Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Alabama. And then Ramon, you have Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, and USC.
Yes.
Okay. 615-737-1045. More college football coming up. And Nebraska. I'm not even mad. I'm impressed about how bad you are in one-score games coming up next. Hey, it's Will. If your air conditioning is struggling to keep up, maybe it's time for a professional to check it out. You've probably found out over the past week or so as we get into triple-digit weather. And as we have this little break of cool weather, look, our friends at Lee Company, they've got you covered to stay ahead of the game when it comes to the changing weather here in Middle Tennessee. One of their expert technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of Mother Nature. And thanks to their visual findings platform, their professional team virtually shows you exactly what they see in addition to updates and information on your unit's efficiency. Don't let your air conditioning fail this fall. Call Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $20 off your air conditioning tune-up today. That's 615-567-1000 online at leecompany.com. Get $20 off your air conditioning tune-up today. That's Lee Company. All you need. It's a Football Friday on RKW, and we're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Our Final Fours are on the record. We've got Brent Hubbs of VolQuest previewing Tennessee and UVA coming up at 7:20. Some Titans roster moves to give you coming up in 15 minutes. 615-737-1045, our number. So we've got our Final Fours. Now let's do the championship. So I've got Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Texas. Ramon has Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, USC. And Kayla has Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Alabama. Who makes the national championship and why?
I got Georgia beating USC, and I got Ohio State beating Texas. I got Georgia, Ohio State with Georgia winning.
Three-peat for the first time since the 1930s.
Too strong right now. Too strong, Will.
Okay. Kayla?
Yeah. I'll just tell you, my winner's going to be Georgia. Washington's going to get beat by Alabama just because Alabama is such much more of a force overall. I think it'd just be too much for Washington. And with Georgia and Michigan, I'm still going to go with Georgia. It's hard for a three-peat, but all in all, I think defensively, when you look at Georgia, if they're going to roll, it's going to be now, right? If they're going to do a three-peat, it's going to be now with the quarterback, with the defensive play, with Kirby Smart as the head coach. So I'm going with Georgia with the three-peat.
Alabama over Georgia for me in the national championship.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have Alabama, Georgia too?
I have Alabama beating Georgia in the national championship. Yep.
Wow.
I have Alabama beating Michigan in one semifinal and Georgia beating Texas in the other one. I think Alabama gets back to its old ways this year in a lot of ways. I could be very wrong. My heart hopes so, but obviously my heart doesn't make college football picks. So, I'm going to take Alabama over Georgia.
That's fair.
Ooh.
I think if Georgia gets it, Georgia really, truly becomes villains and everybody attacks them. I think everybody's actually okay with Georgia.
I think we're there
winning.
now.
You think we're there now?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's
indifferent.
to the Bama point yet where they were the villains.
It's not to the Bama point yet.
It's different.
It is different for them, and I don't know why it's different for them.
Last night, nothing was different for Nebraska. They lost in the most heartbreaking fashion possible again. They are now 2-14. 2-14 in one-score games since the start of 2021. That is hard to do. That's genuinely hard to do. In a 13-10 win last night for the Gophers, who completed a crazy fourth down pass in the corner of the end zone to tie this thing up at 10 with 2:30 left. Nebraska throws a pick, and the Gophers are 1-0.
It's so funny watching Brad Crawford on social media.
247 Sports.
247 Sports, man. He is all over this Marcus Satterfield being Nebraska's offensive coordinator. I think they were in a hurry to get him out of South Carolina, man. He has been smirking and laughing. I didn't realize that Satterfield was going to be like that, and I think he's the highest paid coordinator in Nebraska's history, too. Nebraska's just being them. Matt Rule, I mean, sometimes leaving a good thing is a really bad thing. Like chasing that NFL check was a bad decision for him. And I know these aren't all his guys in Nebraska, but Nebraska's starving. They are starving for some winning football.
And not just for corn, man.
And not just for the corn.
They want wins.
I would feel bad for them, but we've been in college football hell, so screw them.
Look, Nebraska's a rabid fan base.
They are
insane up there. And I think when Nebraska was in its heyday, that was good for football. But it's been so past that it's hard to see them get back to that point now with how college football has changed. And I think Matt Rule will do a good job there. I don't know if he's going to get them back to a national championship team, but because look at the Big Ten now, who you're adding. You're adding more bodies, right? And more teams to have to beat. And it's not going to get any easier. So if you're going to have to start winning these games against, you're opening up the season with Minnesota, you got to win those games. You've got to win those games. And, it's going to take a minute for him to get his classes in, but It's not going to be a difficult or interesting, or I can't talk this morning. It's not going to be an easy task for Nebraska and Matt Rule. It's still going to be difficult with the Big Ten now and the landscape of college football.
I feel so bad for Matt Rule though, because he's like the kid that you made fun of too much in high school. Like he got made fun of. He got to the NFL. He wore the schmuck at Baylor. Like the dude has been piled on, but they brought on I think it's 65 new players onto that Nebraska roster. Like and Matt Rule is catching a lot of the flack because he is very easy to make fun of. But I would not put this loss solely on Matt Rule just because they have been bad in the past. You know what I mean?
Oh no. It's just difficult to see it by that type of score, you know? And by the way, maybe Will Compton should just stop going to the games.
He was there.
I'm just making that up.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Will Compton, former Titan, big Nebraska fan.
Yeah, he's an alum, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
He is.
Oh, couldn't be my team.
I was wondering when we were going to get the first "Couldn't Be My Team" drop this morning.
Now, couldn't be my team. Nah, screw that.
Coming up, the Titans made another round of roster moves yesterday. Brent Hubbs of VolQuest stopping by at 7:20. Lots of football conversation on a Football Friday coming up in hour 2 right here on RKW.
It's Ramon and Will for Kellum Stem Cell Institute, man. And I'm just here to tell you guys, and Will too, you know what? Self-care is the best care sometimes. You got to take care of yourself. And I also believe this. I don't care where good ideas come from. And that good idea is to go visit Kellum Stem Cell Institute, man. I got some stuff I got to get figured out because their stem cell treatments, man, they attack the inflammation in your body. And you know what? After the sports that we played in life and just day to day, Will, it's good to have something that you can go and get some relief from.
It absolutely is, Ramon. And this is holistic stem cell therapy from Dr. Kellum, who recently returned from Hungary, where he worked with Team USA. He was also the team doc for the Boston Celtics and works with several major franchises and individual athletes as well. This is safe and this is smart treatment. And these are literally your cells healing your body. This is not controversial stem cell therapy involving embryonic stem cells. You need to go to their website, learn more about this. KellumStemCellInstitute.com. That's KELLUM StemCellInstitute.com. Take away the inflammation, the aches, and the pains, and see what this technology can do for you. KELLUM StemCellInstitute.com.
What's going on? 701 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. 2 contract extensions happened yesterday that reshaped the money for the positions. The first being the Dolphins and fullback Alec Ingold. They agreed to a 3-year extension worth up to $17 million. Ingold now passes Pat Ricard as the AFC's highest paid fullback on a deal that ties the versatile weapon and team leader to Miami through 2026. Then to TJ Hawkinson, signing a 4-year, $68.5 million contract that resets the tight end market. The $17 million on annual and $42.5 million guaranteed are the highest for a tight end in NFL history. Some college football scores from last night. Minnesota and PJ Fleck rode the boat right over the rejuvenation tour of Matt Rule as Minnesota took down the Cornhuskers 13-10. The highest scoring affair of the night, 56-6, UCF over Kent State. And Utah, number 14, takes down Florida to get a Week 1 revenge from 2022, 24-11. And this weekend, the only game that y'all care about, the Vols pregame starts at 9 a.m. and kickoff is at 11 right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
$7 a.m. in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got college football to discuss as the Tennessee Volunteers take the field tomorrow in Nissan Stadium. Florida already on the field yesterday. We'll get to that coming up later in the show. We've got Titans to discuss, and we have some breaking college football news on a Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee.
We do?
We do have some big breaking college football news.
How do you find these things before me, Will?
According to Nicole Auerbach of The Athletic, the ACC presidents and chancellors have voted to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU to the Atlantic Coast Conference. That coming 4 minutes ago, courtesy of Nicole Auerbach and The Athletic. The ACC will add Stanford, Cal, and SMU.
What?
So the
No
Atlantic
surprise.
Coast Conference now may become the All Coasts Conference. Who's to say?
I guess, man. That's a big trip.
No.
Woo-wee. That's a truck for Stanford and Cal, baby.
No, really?
Yeah, this is what they've
Really?
been talking about. The only way they postponed it because of, unfortunately, there was the shooting over there at UNC's campus, I believe.
Yes.
So they had postponed it, but yeah, this was the talk, Moan. This was the talk.
Oh, man.
They've been going back and forth a bit,
Yeah.
but over the last week started to be narrowed down to something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
College football has really changed, man. It
And
really
it's not
has.
stopping. Like this is not the final of anything. Like,
No.
it'll continue to change.
So I have to ask, Pac-12 officially done?
Oh, it's been done.
I know,
pretty
but like
much.
this is the last. They're using the plunger
I-
now to get the kinks
I
out of the sink.
I think so because if they would have kept at least 4 of them, I think they could have maybe gotten some other folks on to join the conference, right?
Yeah.
But now that it's just Oregon State and Washington State left, I just don't think that's not happening. So, yeah.
Look at
I
SMU
think it's
getting a
done.
bid.
Pony
Yeah.
XS
Mm-hmm.
back.
Yeah.
ACC.
Kind of crazy.
So that probably kills the conversation about Florida State, Clemson, and Miami changing divisions and stuff like that.
I don't think so.
That's what I said. No, don't think that that's over.
What?
Yeah.
That's the next phase in
Mhm.
5-10 years probably. But yeah, for right now, the All Coast Conference,
This is huge right here, man.
right?
This is huge, dog. Wow.
Wild.
So Stanford, Cal, SMU to the ACC.
For Cal, SMU.
615-737-1045. Jack is in Murfreesboro reacting to this news with us this morning. What's up, Jack?
I'd say is in 5-10 years probably, but yeah, for right now, the All Coast Conference.
Freaking bum.
Jack, we are having a rough morning with callers.
What's
man.
going on?
This has been tough for all of you. We turn off your radio when you call in. Just
wanna
talk to us
listen
on the
so
phone.
bad.
They want to hear themselves.
It's too good.
It's too good.
I hate y'all
It's-
that I say that. I hate that y'all say that, and I say it all the time.
David in Goodlettsville, redeem us. What's up, David?
Come on, Dave.
Hey, I know how to operate a
There we go.
Goodness.
Hey, reggae horn for
Woo-wee.
Dave.
Give him a horn. Give him a horn.
Woo!
There it is.
But I have an issue, Ramon. I heard your top four, and I'm going to have to question your loyalty, man. I was sitting here all psyched up for the UT game, and you're just like a buzzkill. What was in your top four in Knoxville? I didn't hear anything.
It was Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, and USC.
Texas, seriously? You called a UT and it wasn't in Knoxville?
I never call them UT. I never call them UT, man. Did you see my Instagram story the other day? It was a picture of a man giving a horns down to a baby. You think I care about the other U of Texas? I don't even want to put a T on the end of that.
Well, you picked them, man, so you got to live by it.
Path of
You do
least
have to live by
resistance to them. Path of least resistance to them, man. That's what I'm giving them. You know, Georgia may win the East. I'm a realist about that, okay? And because of those reasons right there, Tennessee be on the outside looking in for help. That's all.
Well, all right. My feelings were hurt. I'm just going to tell you.
I appreciate that. You know, and you know what? This weekend, if you see me, you come hug me, we dap it up, and we celebrate together, okay? How about that?
All right. I'll feel better then.
He'll be the big guy in orange.
Guess what? Go Vols.
There he is. There's
Wow.
David in Goodlettsville. Thank you, David, for knowing how to operate a cell phone.
He
really
challenged me.
appreciate
Right
He
it.
was
there.
really hurt
He
by that.
challenged me.
I don't think that was an act.
And I'm okay with, just saying if I'm wrong,
Then you're wrong.
okay?
Yeah.
I love where we're at as a species that you can offer a man a hug,
Right.
and it will remedy all the issues.
Sure.
You're like, all you gotta do is come and hug me, man.
It didn't used to be like this, man.
Nope, didn't used to be like this.
Death Row Records ruined it.
Yep. Suge Knight, baby.
Daniel in Smyrna is next. 615-737-1045. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how are you? This message is for Gator Mike. I was just wondering what the odds are of getting the Florida Gators deported to the Pac-12 are.
Yeah! What do we call it?
Really?
Relegation and promotion.
That was a hater chomp.
If you
Hater
finish in the
chomp
bottom
indeed.
half of the SEC or Big Ten, you get relegated to the Pac-12.
There you go. Pile it on, baby.
He's like,
Pile it on,
we don't want
folks.
these scraps,
There
man.
is no Pac-12, guys. What are we talking about? There is no Pac-12. There's
Gator
no
Mike
jokes to
was
be had.
just out here minding his business on a Friday
On
morning.
a Friday morning.
Walking to get his mail, and he got Ricky.
Crowbar to the kneecap.
That's what happens
Man.
when those SEC schools travel up to the West.
Hey.
Well, that is the first time
What
since
happens?
1991 that Florida has.
Welcome, Florida.
I'm very proud of the Pac-12's third best team beating the ninth best team in the SEC.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah,
This is really good.
I'm glad.
And but Florida didn't help themselves either, man. Got players tweeting out small blanking stadium and everything.
Well, it's always going to happen.
I know, but how dumb can you be?
They're
Well,
just kids,
they're-
Ramon. Come on.
Hey,
They're
bleep
just
them kids.
Ramon, they're just kids.
Kids can be dumb too.
Did you-
Yeah,
know?
thank you, Bert.
I got plenty of friends with dumb kids.
I've seen plenty of them, okay?
I
Plenty
could,
of dumb kids
I could
out
go
here.
off on some of those guys on that team too. Keep your mouth guard in.
Ooh.
like-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What happened on the mouth
Some
guard? Somebody's
idiots
teeth
out
got
there.
knocked out?
No, he's just looking like he's like hot stuff, and he got burned.
Ooh.
Well, whoever the wide receiver is, I gotta look up his name.
That's tough right
Yeah.
there. That's tough.
Didn't look good.
I wouldn't-
Adam in Lebanon is up next. Go ahead. Okay.
God, I'm waiting for this violence to continue. Will.
615-737-1045. What's up, Adam?
You guys might have discussed this at the beginning of the show. I hadn't been in my vehicle long, but I just want to get your three opinions on Billy Napier, and do you think there is a possibility that he is not the head coach of Florida by week 12 this year?
Oof.
Thank you, Adam.
It's a good question, Adam.
I would have said definitely not going into the season. And as poorly coached as they look last night, I'm not so sure anymore.
Look, when I took, by the way, you're welcome if I won you money yesterday, picking Utah -7. But if you were listening to me also, I was saying, I don't think it's a direct indictment on what Florida could be like moving through the season. I think it's hard to have a game like this out of the gates. You're traveling back to the West where you never really go. you don't really know what to expect. Now that's game preparation, all that stuff. But you got the quarterback now who's working out some things, finding some things. I think they're going to get better. I really do. Now it's a difficult conference to have to do that in the SEC, but I think they're going to find their way a little bit. So I don't think Napier will be gone after this year.
Got this from Brad Crawford, B. Crawford 24/7. Billy Napier's buyout is $31 million.
Yeah.
It's one thing that's going to hold him back. But I'll also say this, too. You can't lose like that. They look undisciplined.
Yeah,
they look
it was
bad.
undisciplined.
They had the ball in various situations. Having two numbers on the field at the same time, not all right.
A lot of pre-snap penalties and a lot of transfers, specifically on the offensive line, who just could not control the line of scrimmage against Utah.
Yeah.
That's concerning. If you're Billy Napier, I think the problem now is, guys, that rebuilds don't take as long as they used to. And for Florida, Billy Napier has been very meticulous about the way he rebuilds the Gators program. And he made a lot of headlines in year one when he got the job and said, we're not going to take kids just to take kids. We're going to evaluate guys in our process. And they didn't sign very many players in that first class. And he, by his own method, put himself behind the 8 ball immediately. I think for Florida now, a lot of his issues are not Billy Napier issues. They're Florida issues.
Yes. When
a check doesn't clear for Jaden Rashada, a 5-star quarterback, and your NIL collective doesn't have its stuff together, it's hard for you as a head coach to compete with teams like USC and Oregon and Tennessee and Alabama, who are paying recruits a substantial amount of money from collectives that were in place pretty quickly, or at least are much more efficiently run at this point. That being said, what Sonny Dykes did at TCU last year, I think will change now the motivation to pull the plug on rebuilds and just start over, because the guy took TCU to the national title in year one. Tennessee goes to the Orange Bowl in year 2 under Josh Heupel. You get the rebuild right quickly, you can do it in 2 years now. Billy Napier's in year 2, and it doesn't look good.
It doesn't
look good at all.
Nope. I laughed though a lot of it because everybody, of course, want to crown Florida like they are that they are him, as far as the kids would say these days. It's very fascinating to watch them. They look bad. Their tackles look bad. Their wide receiver though, Pearsall,
Ricky Pearsall, Arizona State wide receiver.
He needs to keep in his mouth guard.
Okay, well, he was solid yesterday though.
Quickly before we get to Brent Hubbs on the other side, Titans did make some roster moves yesterday, adding edge rusher Trevis Gibson to the active roster. We mentioned that yesterday as something that we expected to happen, obviously, since he's the one that tweeted, "Tighten up, I'm on the Titans," basically. Corey Levin was re-signed to the active roster. We talked about that again, the surprise that he was let go. The Titans immediately bring him back. Kyle Phillips to IR, meaning that he will miss the first 4 games of the season. Offensive lineman Justin Murray was released, and the Titans signed Cade York to the practice squad while releasing Sam Okuwanu from the practice squad. Coming up, we go inside the war room, though, with Brent Hubbs of VolQuest.com, previewing Tennessee and UVA on the other side here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And I mean all those things when I say this. The best thing about Hiller is this, man. 100% satisfaction guarantee every single time they come out to your house, starting with their technicians. They are very professional, they're experienced, and they're trustworthy. And one thing you can trust with Hiller is the fact that they're going to tell you, and this is true, it's about to start getting cold, and it's time to start thinking about your heating system. Yes, some of y'all, I see both of my co-hosts this morning here with sweaters on. You don't want to be in your house with the sweater on, okay, when you don't have to. You don't have to experience breakdowns when it comes to that first temperature drops. So it's time to get your heating tune up taken care of now. Luckily for you, it's Happy Half Off Month at Hiller, and tune-ups are 50% off this month. Hiller is making it easier than ever to tackle the necessary home replacement by giving you 50% off selected add-on items. Hiller's work is backed by their happy you'll be or the service is free guarantee. It is that simple, y'all. Go ahead and get those HVAC units checked out because you don't want to be broken down and cold inside of your house. To learn more, visit happyhiller.com.
Friday morning at RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. A football Friday that continues with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh, our producer. We talk a lot, guys, about big game music. Before a big game, before something big happening, you need to play big game music that meets the moment. This one meets the moment. 10 out of 10.
Alan Jackson.
We go to the phone lines and bring in our good friend Brent Hubbs of VolQuest.com. Brent, the fall breeze is flowing here in Middle Tennessee. Vols play football here tomorrow. It is a good day to be alive. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope you guys are. Talking season is officially over. We're watching, no offense, Ramon, to exhibition football in the NFL, but we're watching real football now. So it's a great time to be alive because football's here.
Brent, I know there's a portion of you that would love for the NCAA to have preseason football games, but you know what? we live another day, man. We live another day.
You know, Ramon, from a broadcasting standpoint and from a knowledge standpoint, if I could in some way get to watch one scrimmage in the preseason, I would be one happy man. But instead, I'll be learning a lot tomorrow at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, as will many fans in the stands. Because, listen, I mean, you talk to coaches and you hear all these things, but there's nothing like seeing guys play for themselves, for yourself. And so there's a lot of guys that you want to see tomorrow, curious to see how they play, what they look like, how they fit in this system. Should be a lot of fun.
Brent Hubbs with us here on Ramon, Kalen Wills. So, Brent, an opportunity for Tennessee to start 7 players that they took out of the transfer portal last winter. Dante Thornton in that group, a lot on the offensive line as well and on defense. Out of those 7 guys, is Dante Thornton the headliner for you? Who do you think Tennessee fans are talking about the most come Monday when we recap this thing?
Well, I think it'll be Keenan Peely or Dante Thornton because for the fan in the stand, those are the 2 guys you're going to notice the most. Maybe the most important for Tennessee is John Campbell and Andre Kuric on the offensive line for the development of that group moving forward. But I think from a water cooler standpoint on Monday, it's going to be what did Dante Thornton look like and what does Keenan Peely look like. I think Peely has exceeded expectations of a lot of people. He's moved better. He's played better in fall camp than even Tennessee thought he would. And then the other surprise guy to a degree has been Omar Norman Lott. We'll see how many snaps he gets tomorrow, but that's a guy who has been hard to handle for Tennessee's offensive front. Can he be hard to handle for Virginia's offensive front on Saturday? So that should be another guy to watch. But I think it's going to be Peely and Thornton that most people are talking about at the water cooler on Monday. Well,
if that's the case, then let's move to the defensive side of the ball real quick, too. You got Dominic Bailey over Tyler Barron, the Middle Tennessee native, man. Bailey, what was his camp like, man, as far as him to be named the starter potentially?
Well, yeah, and let's keep this in mind, too. They're going to play 12 up there, right? So it may be Tyler Barron may play twice as many snaps as Bailey when it's all said and done. We'll see how the game goes and how it dictates. But I think Dominic Bailey has been consistent every day on the practice field in fall camp. And that's a great example for young people out there and even for fans to a degree. Have a little patience, right? I mean, here's a guy that 2 years ago, nobody was sure he would ever be a contributor. You know, are they going to get rid of him, try to get him to move on so they got another number to play with on the roster with scholarships? He's just continued to work and continued to develop and shown really good consistency. He's also practiced more than Tyler Barron has the last couple of weeks, and I think that's a factor in there as well. But you know, he's a guy a lot like Bumpus was a year ago. Ramon, he just kind of shows up every day and puts his hard hat on and goes to work, and I think that resonates with Rodney Garner, and I think he'll be rewarded for that.
No doubt about it. It's the biggest task, I think, for this team this year may actually start with the D-line, man. Where's the depth as far as those guys go? And also with Elijah being out, the health of everybody else, too. Elijah Simmons, that is.
Yeah, they're healthy. You know, Elijah Simmons is not. He's going to miss up until the middle part of the year, it looks like. DJ Terry obviously transferred out. They would certainly like to have his, that body there, but he decided he wanted to move on. So they probably have to get a little bit creative at times, but they do that with their third down stuff. And what I mean by that is they could slide Dominic Bailey inside on third downs. Tyler Barron can slide inside. Tyree West can slide inside on pass rush situations. But in the interior, you got Omari Thomas, you got Omar Norman Lott, you got Bryson Eason, who needs to be more consistent. There's a ton of potential in Bryson. He's got to be more consistent day in and day out. I think that's his biggest challenge. And then we'll see kind of where they go. I mean, is Nathan Robinson, the freshman, going to get some run on Saturday? How close is he to playing? Where's Davin Hobbs? How much does he play? Is he going to be outside, inside, or both? Is he kind of a swing guy in there? So they're going to end up with about 12 guys. Are they going to have 5 true defensive tackles? Probably not. They'll just have to get creative by the way they move some guys around based on their scheme.
Brent, in terms of the safety position, what do you see them doing there with the starters this weekend?
Well, it's pretty obvious Jalen McCullough is the mainstay back there at safety. Tim Banks has made that very clear in every media setting he's had. He reiterated that on VolQuest Wednesday night. Wesley Walker, the Nashville product or the mid-state product who transferred in from Georgia Tech, has got the other spot anchored down. And then behind them, you got Jordan Thomas, who was a guy who played really well on special teams last year. He's been bothered a little bit by a leg injury since last spring. He's healthy now, but it set him back a little bit in the spring and in his summer development. But he's a backup safety right now. And the other backup safety is Andre Turrentine, who's another positive story on this team. Turrentine's not a guy in spring practice that you thought, well, he's going to be a real factor. I think he got rid of some of the clutter in his world and some things he was dealing with outside of football and kind of got, his mind more focused on football over the summer, and it showed up. He's had a very solid fall camp. He benefited greatly from Wesley Walker missing some time due to a little bit of a muscle pull. That gave Turrentine a ton of reps with the number one defense, and I think he got took a lot of confidence from that. And I think you'll see both of those backup safeties play early. I think they will rotate this week, and then I think it gets interesting in 2 weeks. How much confidence do they have to really stay with the rotation that they're talking about doing on defense? We know Rodney Garner's going to rotate. You do not play 4 defensive linemen in the SEC and survive. You got to go deep. So he'll go 10, 12 deep in SEC games. Brian Jean-Marie manufactured depth last year, just rotating guys in. And, you'd look up and you go, where'd Aaron Beasley go? Why are they rotated in? I mean, he's trying to keep those guys fresher in the second half. So he's going to do it. The challenge is on the back end. The last line of defense, do they have the confidence to put some guys in who are still learning and growing? They say they do. It's probably easier to do in game 1, but what does it look like in game 3 or 4? We'll find out in a few weeks.
Brent Hubbs joining us now. And it was funny, Brent, because Ramon said this morning, he goes, man, I guess this is a neutral site on Saturday here in Nashville. And he kind of laughed because it's pretty much like, in a way, a home game, you would think, for the Tennessee Vols. How big of a stage is it for, I guess, Josh Heupel and just the recruiting factor in state for a game like this to be in Nashville?
Well, it is a home game, and Tennessee's treating it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to do their Vol Village, and, I mean, it's all about a home game. And Tennessee's actually going to end up making a good amount of money on this game, I think, even after the expenses of getting out of the BYU game or taken out. I still think Tennessee's going to profit well in this game. This is a big deal to play in Nashville. Nashville's important. Rick Barnes has talked about it in basketball. Tennessee's always talked about it in football. It's recruiting. It's growing your fan base. It's capturing your fan base back. Nashville's a transient town. There's a lot of people who didn't grow up there, who are fans of other schools. You're trying to win them over. And it's a big game for the university. I mean, Dondi Plowman and all of her people are going to be out there as well because it's a big game to recruit because they're in a battle there with some other SEC schools for the top students in the area as well. So, anytime you can play in Nashville, it's a big deal. And for Tennessee, they will play now 3 straight years in Nashville. When you go back to Vanderbilt last year, this game, and then Vanderbilt next year, I think that's an important deal for Tennessee. Are they going to play a neutral site game in Nashville every year? No. But at the same time, too, Kayla, I think when they have that opportunity, they're going to look long and hard at playing there because it is important for the growth of the university, the growth of the athletic department, on all fronts to play in the mid-state when they can.
Absolutely.
Brent Hubbs, VolQuest.com with us. Brent, all the talk about Joe Milton through the offseason and his improvements and his leadership role. At this point, as we are just over 24 hours away from the first kickoff of the year, do you believe he is ready to rise to the occasion and have a little bit of a redemption story here in his final season as a Vol?
I think he's going to play well. I think there'll be great disappointment if he doesn't play well. He's had a really good fall camp. I like where he's at in his headspace, the way he's going about his business. Now, everybody should keep this in mind. And, I mean, this is a marathon, not a sprint. He's not going to be perfect. There will be an overthrow at some point. There will probably be an interception thrown at some point, right? He's going to make mistakes. Nobody's ever played a perfect season or a perfect game at the quarterback position. That doesn't mean he can't do it. And I think that fans have to remind themselves that, again, a marathon, not a sprint. Remember, last year, now that was a much better defense, but last year Tennessee needed overtime to win at Pittsburgh because the offense was struggling big time. In week 1 last year, Tennessee didn't have a sack. They only had 1.5 tackles for loss last year in the opener, and everybody was going, what's wrong with Rodney Garner's defensive front? What's so bad? Then they go to Pitt and get 4 sacks and 7 tackles for loss. So you got to understand you're going to grow as you go along, and I think Joe will be solid. I think he'll play well in game 1, and then we'll see how he grows and progresses moving forward. But there's no reason for me to have any doubts in Joe Milton right now based on the way he's conducted himself, carried himself, and performed in fall camp.
Brent, talking to Austin Price earlier this week, he mentioned that Jalen Wright may end up being the number 1 running back today when that first 11 gets on the field for Tennessee on offense. What do you expect that rotation to look like between Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson, who Josh Heupel's also been complimentary of this offseason?
I think that one's of all the positions out there, that's the group that probably feels the most pressure because their coaching staff's talking about riding the hot hand. They're going to rotate early and all those types of things, but how do you not press when you get in there to become the hot hand guy? And the challenge that I think those guys have is to play within the framework of what they're supposed to do. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to turn every 4-yard gain into a home run. If it's blocked for 4 or 6 and that's all you can get that. Don't turn it into a 2-yard gain because you tried to bounce it and do something to get on the highlight reel because you wanted to stay in the game. So I think the challenge for those guys more than other positions is, to just do what you're supposed to do and understand there's going to be a rotation there and you're going to get an opportunity, and who knows how many opportunities you get in the second half. You want to take advantage of it. Don't make mistakes, but you got to be careful not to do too much, which I think is an interesting balance at that position. I think Jalen Wright's had a great fall camp. I think he's had a great offseason in general. That's another guy who I think has eliminated some clutter in his world and is really locked in and dialed in on football. One of his good friends on this team the last 2 years has been Jalen Hyatt. And he saw what Jalen Hyatt did when Jalen Hyatt decided to make football the priority for him and how his life changed, if you will, when he decided to really dial in and become a true football player at the college level. I think Jalen Wright has taken some of those steps this offseason, which is why there's a lot of excitement about where he's at right now.
Brent, I thought we were going to have to pass the plate for a minute for Ramon talking about running backs. Just need to take the blocks that are given to them. This man's about to stand up and holler an amen.
Hey, Brent knows what he's doing, okay, when he comes on this network,
Knows ball.
okay? You know ball. You know how to get me going. But I'm going to overlook your Friday petty, okay? How about that?
Petty? Come on, Petty. That's not petty.
Brent, I get it. You're like me. You're never going to grow up.
Ramon, how many times in your life did you literally look at a running back and go, why didn't you go off my rear end? Why are you going to the sideline? Why are you bouncing out there, brother? I mean, I've got it blocked up in the alley. Hit it and go. Come on, man.
It's been times I've looked at quarterback especially at the running back especially when I got older, and I would literally point to the hole. Dog, right here. Right, I laid it out for you. You ain't wrong, man. I'm just here to tell you, you're not wrong. But on the recruiting side, real quick, man, Coach Heupel will be at some games tonight, and so will Rodney Garner too, man. Between those guys, they're going to look at George McIntyre, Ethan Utley, and I also want to throw in, because it's super interesting to me, Brent, Cameron Fountain. I see you say he's also in the mix, potentially the USC commit, man. How do you view those guys and also Heupel and Coach Gardner being at local games tonight?
I mean, look, Tennessee's playing an 11 a.m. local time start, and the head football coach is going out the night before to watch a quarterback play. So if you want to know where George McIntyre is as a priority for Tennessee, I give you evidence, example, exhibit number A right there. Utley's a guy that Rodney Garner's known his family for a while. There's a long-standing relationship there. The young man out of Innsworth, I think, has got a chance to be a really good college player. Cam Fountain committed to USC. Southern Cal was a surprise when he did it. I think he got caught up in the glitz and the glamour of L.A. out there, and he's still committed. He's not wavered in that commitment, but he's still talking to schools. But, Ramon, that doesn't get real unless he comes on campus. If he takes a visit to Tennessee, shows up for a game unofficially, that type deal, then that one becomes a realistic thing potentially. You just wonder if at some point in time that there's some people around him go, you know what, LA's a long way away. Are we sure this is what you want to do? Do you want to play in the cold? Because now they're in the Big Ten. Life's a little different. I think all those things are being kind of put in his head to remind him of all of that. And we'll see if he takes some visits to some, schools in the South this fall as he just makes sure he wants to go to USC ultimately. After, again, I think making an emotional commitment. Now, he stuck to it, but that was a kind of out of the blue. Yeah. When he committed, we were all like, what? Where did that one come from? So we'll see if he gets back on campus.
And just real quick also, now we get to the season, as you said. Wins and losses matter, and that also shifts the recruiting. Florida last night, and just in general, the rest of these teams that are competing for these hot prospects, man, wins and losses matter much, or are we going to say NIL matters more?
Well, I think everybody's situation is different, but I think in the Florida situation, that loss last night is not a red flag for the recruiting class, but what do they look like in 4 or 5 weeks? How much improvement do they make? Are they a 500 team? Are they a bowl team? Are they not a bowl team? Where's the, do they start putting Billy Napier on the hot seat after, in the middle of year 2? Some of those things can go to work on your recruiting later on this fall. I don't think it has a huge impact just because they lost one game last night. But where are they at in the middle of October and kind of what's the chatter about Billy Napier and the direction of that program middle of the season, I think will yield potentially more concerns for Florida holding on to a really good-looking recruiting class right now than it does just based off of one game last night. And Florida played poorly. They got to clean up a lot of things. We'll see how much they can clean up moving forward.
Brent Hubbs bringing it as always here on a Friday morning here on RKW. Brent, between Austin on Tuesday, we've got Andy Staples coming up later in the show. We're glad to give On3 some love this morning here. Appreciate you as always.
Well, I appreciate you guys quickly shifting me to the third team role because you threw Austin Price in there this week. Now you got the superstar Andy Staples coming in, so. I'm like the walk-on who's just hoping to get to dress this weekend, fellas, but I appreciate it.
As the walk-on, and what I call myself, Brent, is the most unathletic athlete in the history of the Southeastern Conference. I know how you feel. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Right. There's Brent Hubbs with us this morning here on the show.
No doubt. That was fun.
Nothing wrong with being a walk-on. Come on.
Hey, I was essentially
there's plenty of good walk-ons. I'd rather be a walk-on and work my way up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going that far.
Okay. It depends on if we get some NIL.
I would rather have the perks, but
if you succeed,
I'm here for it.
I'm all about the walk-ons, baby. Let's
coming
go.
up, a first that you will notice, something that's never been done when Tennessee plays at Nashville that has already been done. Coming up next.
So this is a small bird, too, for someone that's never seen a Bob White before. It's this little round softball.
That's right. Yeah. They're not much bigger than my fist, They've got little legs, but they're a ground-nesting, ground-dwelling bird. If they never have to fly in their life, they wouldn't, right? They just do that to get away from hawks and owls for the most part, or hunters. What they need is largely herbaceous plant communities, right? So they need wildflowers. They need a small proportion of grasses that don't need the vast grasslands, right? I need stuff that most people would call weeds. Those are providing good brood cover, good nesting cover, a lot of insects, right? That's what chicks need to develop early.
Bridgestone Firestone is a quail focus or focal area. So tell us a little bit why.
Yeah, it's largely because there are very few places that have wild quail in the state of Tennessee anymore. And there's dozens of different factors that lead into that, right? Everybody wants to jump right to predators, but it's a habitat issue, right? It's a landscape change, whether we're talking about development or whether we're talking about fire not being on the landscape anymore, or fields and young forests progressing into closed canopy forest, right? So the farm, just by nature of it being an open landscape that's been maintained that way, has held on to some birds. And compared to most other places in the state, we're one of the very few. On top of that, the potential for growing that population, it's higher here than just about anywhere else.
"40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Friday morning continues at RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. If you missed any of the college football last night, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, we'll give you a recap of what happened to the Florida Gators last night. Brutal.
Brutal, man.
For them in Salt Lake City. 615-737-1045. There will be something happening in Nissan Stadium for the first time tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. There are checkerboard end zones in Nissan Stadium.
Whoa.
This has not been done before.
That was insane.
This is also a positive of the turf.
Mm-hmm.
Like, genuinely. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Is there any photos leaked yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there are photos
I haven't
everywhere.
seen them.
Yeah, I'm just going ahead and send that to you.
I saw the
yeah.
News Channel
I did not
5
see that.
chopper got a look at both end zones, the overhead view over Nissan Stadium.
To the chopper.
That's right.
Is that Arnold?
Was that okay? Into the chopper.
Into the chopper. That's exciting, though. That field, golly, it looks good, dog.
It looks
The
outstanding.
field does.
The turf looks really, really good.
Yeah, it does. I'm excited for it though to see it. This is other than no. I'm lying. I have one game in Nissan as a fan. That was this past week during the third preseason game.
You weren't there as a
I
fan.
haven't. I was working. I haven't been to a game in Nissan. This will be my first time going to a game. I've gone to other events, concerts. I've gone to Monster Jam at Nissan. I haven't gone to a football game. This will be my first.
Nice.
Yes. And we got hit by COVID the last time we were supposed to go to the Purdue game.
Mm-hmm.
We were out with
that's right.
COVID.
That's right.
The entire family got shut down. I was ticked off, too.
Not fun.
Not fun. I didn't know ball that night.
Yeah, good chance to vanquish some demons from that Purdue Music City Bowl.
Yeah, at least
This time,
I
if
hope so.
Jalen Wright is in the end zone, they'll actually call it a touchdown instead of calling him his forward progress stopped.
You silly man.
I've honestly suppressed the memory of that game.
I mean, as you should.
615-737-1045. Micah's in Nolansville. Our guy. Ready to go on a football Friday. What's up, Micah?
All right, we got the Vols. We got Virginia, Nissan Stadium. We've got Bazooka Joe. We're taking down Virginia. Rocky Top, baby. Go Vols. We're going 13 of the season. We are winning the whole thing. We are taking down Virginia. Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols!
Come on, turn me on, Micah.
Oh, I didn't know Micah gets so hyped like this, man.
That's my dude. His radio could never be on in the background.
I'm talking about
Couldn't be him.
such a pro.
Couldn't be his radio.
Couldn't be his radio. Couldn't be his streaming device.
Micah is our favorite caller. We don't pick favorites on the show, but he's our favorite caller.
I mean, it's okay to say he's our favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
We should do an RKW draft of favorite callers.
I'm not gonna
Or maybe
do my
at least
first
favorite
pick.
call's.
I'm not gonna do my first pick. Not doing it.
You're
Absolutely
not?
Not
So
already.
you have a first
Not
pick.
from you. Not from you guys. Okay, I don't want y'all stealing my first pick.
You really said
At all.
you people.
You people. Yeah, absolutely not, man.
How do you
Looking
spell?
forward to this week. Who?
Sorry, I'm trying to holler back
really
at Slay
good.
on the chat.
Really
here.
good at spelling. Slay.
You are?
Scroll down in the
S-L-A-Y.
chat.
S-L-A-Y.
Oh, he's asking about a couple things.
Oh,
So,
okay. All right.
F&M Bank chat if you want to get in on that.
Get in on some action.
And he was asking about Micah too. How is Micah getting out of school that early?
Micah has a different version of school.
Yeah, Micah's
He does.
homeschooled. So
He's homeschooled. He goes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday? No, Tuesday, Thursday, I think. And Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for homework.
Yeah, we talked to him about it
Yeah.
a few weeks ago.
and
we
this
did.
might be a part of his daily schedule or weekly, I should say.
We are a part of his
Yeah.
daily schedule. Micah can start school at 12 o'clock and be done at appropriate time.
You're right.
Actually, his parents told me that he was already accepted to college.
Yeah.
He just a super smart kid.
I
He
love
already
it.
got accepted to college. He's only 12 years old, just like a baby genius almost.
I love it.
Yeah, his transcripts are already less iffy than Ramon's.
Already. So, Ron Slade, keep Micah's name out your mouth. That's all he was saying.
Halftime of the show, and coming up next in hour number 3, a recap of what in the world happened to Billy Napier's Florida Gators last night in Salt Lake City. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Fall and yes, we've talked about it. Fall in Tennessee, y'all, is here. It's probably the best time of the year. At least it is for me. We get past that dreaded summer heat, and I'm here to tell you, Scoreboard is ready to celebrate with you with Low Country Bulls football and the best live music in Nashville. Now they have 2 great locations. The original one across from the Grand Ole Opry, and now on the shores of Old Hickory Lake. If it's a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night, both scoreboards will have all the games, food, and music you want. By boat, Harley, truck, or chopper, you can land at either location. And if it's football time at Scoreboard, are you ready for some football? Today, you can join 3HL, and I might pop by for a little bit too, but 3HL will be there from 3 to 6 as they broadcast live from the original Scoreboard location across from the Grand Ole Opry. And listen up, this will be your last chance today, because the game is tomorrow, to win a pair of sweet tickets to the UT Virginia game with food and drink included. Sit in the AC or, roam around the stadium a little bit and watch my Vols beat up on Virginia. You must be present to win these tickets, though, so be sure to be there. Mark your calendars and get your appetite ready. All you can eat Low Country Bowl starts Saturday, September 9th from noon to 5. See you at either Scoreboard.
What's going on, you bunch of hooligans? Happy Friday. Happy Football Friday. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. 2 contract extensions that happened yesterday that reshaped the money for both of their positions. The Dolphins and fullback Alec Ingold have agreed to terms on a 3-year extension worth up to $17 million. Ingold passes Pat Ricard as the highest-paid fullback on a deal that ties the versatile weapon and the team leader to Miami through 2026. And then to Minnesota as T.J. Hawkinson signed a 4-year, $68.5 million contract extension that resets the tight end market. $17 million annually and $42.5 million in guarantees are the highest for a tight end in NFL history. Some college football news as ACC presidents and chancellors have voted to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU to the league. As Will Bowling said, the All-Coast Conference is now in full effect. Some college football scores from last night. Minnesota and PJ Fleck rode that boat right over the rejuvenation tour of Matt Rule as Minnesota took down the Cornhuskers 13-10. UCF over Kent State 56-6. And Utah gets a little Week 1 revenge from last year as they took down Florida 24-11. This weekend, the only game that y'all give a damn about, Vols. Pregame starts at 9 a.m. and kickoff is at 11. You can listen to that whole thing right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. I'm going to make y'all wait for it. The Zone.
Second half of the show starts now on your first Football Friday of the 2023 season. It is Christmas Eve if you're a Vols fan, and if you're just a college football fan. We are all the way back tomorrow. Yes, right here on the station, you'll be able to hear it. Vol Network, Tennessee, and UVA. But coming up in 20 minutes, we've got Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, who's going to stop by. Andy Staples of On 3 in the final hour as well. Tons still to get to as we continue for 2 more hours on a Friday, and we're acting like it.
Jones.
That's right. This one hits a little different when there's football going on tomorrow.
It does. Hell, I can't wait for you to hear this at the Titans practice. They do it.
I did yesterday.
They did yesterday.
I posted it. Did you not see it? It was
How'd
there
you miss
Friday.
that?
I put it up on Twitter.
It was there Friday.
I said it's Friday for the Titans. And I was thinking about you guys, and guess what they played right after? It's Friday, and it's Saturday, Sunday, what?
That
It's
used to be a
Friday
thing,
again.
Will.
It still is a thing.
They played that right after.
They did. Hey, Mufasa, it's Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday, and
It's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday.
He gets so hyped for his homie dance. Mufasa. Go ahead. On any block, Will. On any block. You not gonna Millie Rock, Will.
I did. Be so glad if you're not watching in the Evident Big Chat that you cannot see my ridiculously bad dance moves.
I think we should call that the Willie Rock.
Hey,
that might be do it.
On to something.
That might be do it, Bert. Hey, sell that.
Woo.
Sell it. We gotta sell it. Bottle
Willie
it up
Rock?
and sell it.
Willie Rock.
We got to find a way to make money.
Bring money on this. It's too good.
We gotta find it. We gotta. I need that drop, y'all. I need that drop.
I know
man.
I've been slacking. I need to put it in here.
Sir Bert, will you, man? I don't ask much of you, man. You feel
do.
me? I do.
Full circle.
Friday and we're acting
That's
like
my dog, man.
I love
That's
it.
why. If you're not happy to having a good day today, man, one, I hope it's nothing too serious, okay? It's a beautiful day in the Mid-South.
It is nice.
We've officially hit football season. I know some people don't care about that. There was a lot of people that, during my playing career, said they wasn't going to watch football no more. I think they
They probably
watching
ended up
it.
watching
You remember
it.
that? You remember that era? We got past that era, okay? And it's just a beautiful Friday. It's summer. It's in the 60s in the evening time. The devil took a break for a while. You feel me? Like the heat is just suppressed a little bit. How y'all feel about it?
I got to let you know about, and the people know about a local anecdote that's going on right here in the 104.5 The Zone parking lot. What? The other day, me and Ramon were walking out, and we saw this bird. He had a little broke wing. And he was just hobbling along doing his thing. We're like, man, I hope he gets along. That was on Monday. I saw that daggone bird 4 days in a row. And if that pigeon ain't going to let a broke wing hold him back from the weekend, then you shouldn't either.
Hey!
That's great.
Preach.
Outstanding.
I don't want to name him yet, but
if Buck can save two alley cats, we can do something with this bird.
Can you adopt him, Bert?
I have two cats.
Kayla.
So they would. He gonna be.
I'm sorry. So Zeus is going to be all about pigeon.
All I'm saying is this: I'll go to the local Petco. Okay, and I'll pick up a bird cage.
If we could get that pigeon in this studio,
where he going?
Bird flu be damned.
We probably will get bird flu.
I got some good latex gloves.
Robert and Robert.
Robert
Walsh.
Robert Walsh.
Bird Hawkinson.
Bird Walsh. Bird Walsh. I like it. Either one of them. I'm cool with it.
I love it.
Do we need to go get a cage for this thing? Like, what we doing?
I got to catch him first.
You got to catch him. Not with your hands.
Why?
Rubber
the fact
gloves.
that this fool
Could
said
have
why.
rabies.
He got his vaccinations. He's pro-vaccine. I know he got it.
Yeah, I'm double vax, man. I'll get that bird.
You good. You real good. He is struggling.
Well, if you get rabies, we'll just get a big check and donate it to science.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
You know there's a cure for that, right? Office drop.
That's great. There's
now you're
there's your
dropping
daily
the
office
office.
reference.
Good,
Okay.
because Michael was so pressed about it. He was so sad about finding the cure for rabies.
Already exists.
Already exists, Michael.
Oh, boy.
Oh, me, oh, my.
Well, last night, Florida was looking for a cure for terrible offense, and they never found it.
Nope.
Utah was missing 8 starters. Backup Bryson Barnes, who starts in place of Cam Rising in this one, legitimately had a 70-yard touchdown on the first play of the game. 12 for 18 for 159 yards. Freshman quarterback Nate Johnson runs 27 yards for a touchdown. Utah sacked Florida quarterback Graham Mertz 5 times. I'm so glad I looked in the smart part of my brain and picked Tennessee to win in the swamp. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore.
I almost texted you last night and put you in a group chat with Savage, Ron Slay.
Oh, really?
I was just like, see, this is why we took you to the woodshed, Will, to get that BVS out of you, man, that Batterval syndrome. This is why. And you know who else? And I'm going to call him out because he's such a good dude. I'm going to call him out because I feel like he's in somebody's mud pit right now, okay? He's in somebody's mud pit in the county of Robertson, okay? In Robco, as they like to call it. This individual calls here and has a very eloquent southern drawl about him.
Southern drawl.
Sort of like molasses.
Kind of like molasses.
molasses.
I've led it all the way up to this moment to call out Big Orange Mac, man.
Big
Oh,
old
really?
Mac.
Yeah, man. He's feel like Florida's the boogeyman out here.
Oh.
He's calling us, trashing them on social media, rat poison. And I never thought I'd see the day that BOM would be this scared of what Florida got going on, man.
Well, you can't go 1 for 13 on third down.
Ooh.
You can't have 9 penalties for 46 yards. Like nothing was good about the performance last night. And mind you, Utah was without Cam Rising, their starting quarterback. They lost one of their best pass rushers early.
They did.
And a safety later on in the game.
They did, Kayla. And I was just like, I ain't trashing them as far as Florida goes.
Well, you can.
But yeah, I'm gonna be a small J
Let's get
journalist
swampy.
and be cool about it. You feel me? Get swampy.
Get swampy with
the fact that they gave us that bad documentary about Swamp Kings.
That was awful.
I feel like now it's okay to say, you know what, Florida, you're not him. Okay.
You're not that guy.
They also had to watch the one that got away win at Arizona State yesterday.
That's
Jaden
right.
Rashada, 2 touchdowns, 24-21 win over the Southern Utah Thunderbirds.
Yeah, and that game that ended at 3 a.m. Central because of a dust storm.
A dust storm.
It's a
Yeah.
haboob.
Yeah.
Is what they call them in
Let them boys
Arizona.
play. Let them boys play. What is this now? We're so soft. Can't play through a dust
Wussification
storm.
of
That's what I'm
America.
saying,
I'll
man.
tell you one thing though, Bert. I lived in Tucson and I was caught in one of those. That gets in your eyes.
Well, that's what
And
eyelashes
you can't
are for.
see anything.
Bring out
It
the
don't
goggles.
protect that amount of dust,
So
believe
did
me.
tears last night if you're a Florida fan. That was getting in your eyes, too.
It
Smokes.
was
Filled a
lot of
swamp up
tears.
with them.
But I'll say this, though. Napier seemed like he did not have it together with that squad.
No.
Seeing him, and of course, people retweeted that last year's him losing his mind on the sideline. That's never a good look when the assistant's got to hold you back. And then to start off week 1 like this, again, I was hoping the SEC go flawless this weekend for sure, and Florida's the first
Why?
one up.
I want them to go winless except for Tennessee.
I know, but of course, I'm a root
I
for
think
the
some
SEC
people root
slightly.
for their conference.
Slightly. But I was more cheerful that they
Never.
lost.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Can I ask one crucial question? Who was Urban Meyer rooting for? His Utah Utes or his Florida Gators?
As always, himself, because that's all he cares about.
I'm surprised they didn't have him be like the chairman of the game or something like that.
Right?
Brock in Nashville has a bird name for us. 615-737-1045. Hey, Brock.
Bird's
up,
the
Brock?
word.
What's up, guys?
Morning.
How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, y'all kill it every morning. We appreciate you out here.
Thank you.
Y'all making it
Thank
easy
you.
for us.
Checks in the mail.
But I'll make this simple for you. I got you a bird name. You said it was a pigeon, right?
Yeah.
P-hop. I'm done. I'm out.
Can you get an endorsement with D-Hop?
Hey, you know what? P-hop is cool, too, because if we name him after us and then it dies, then, like, a part of us goes with the bird. So P-hop is...
It's not like it's like a Horcrux in Harry Potter. You put part of your soul into a pigeon just because you name it. What in the world?
Answer is yes, Will.
It's like a 1 pound animal. What do we?
Good.
The fact that me and Bird is on the same page about saving this bird, I mean, yes.
Ramon, you a big animal guy. Can you make a pigeon noise? You know what noise they make?
Oh.
All right, thank you. I just needed that to be clean.
Hey,
I just needed that to be clean.
Uh-oh.
Bird, I swear, the next time I see you on the balcony outside, I'm flipping you.
Don't Royal Rumble me. Don't throw me over the top rope.
Join the pigeon with that hurt shoulder.
Yeah,
We
straight
both
up.
be down there crying.
Yeah.
I hate Bird.
Ridiculous. Coming up, voice of the Titans, Mike Keith joins us. Titans make a flurry of roster moves yesterday. I would imagine as well that Mike Keith, as a proud University of Tennessee alumnus, does not hate seeing checkerboards in Nissan Stadium either.
That'll be fascinating.
Probably doesn't mind it. We'll get to that and more on the Titans front coming up next. The VOT, Mike Keith joins us coming up.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. I know it's a lot that comes along with that because we're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed now, or a small problem that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. The bottom line when it comes to foundation and waterproofing, we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind. The United Structural Systems gives that. They have over 25,100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how they make that happen. When USS comes out to your house, you get them problem solvers who will provide a peace of mind to their customer, the homeowners. You're not getting someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota, upselling you on the next big thing, but someone that'll educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. At USS, the only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is, not a closing ratio. Homeowners trust USS, like myself. They're keeping homes dry and stable for years. They guarantee the best every single time. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can reach out to them at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
Friday morning on RKW continues as we talk to the Vot every Friday in football season here on the show. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. As voice of the Titans, Mike Keith joins the conversation here this morning. Mike, there are checkerboards in the brand new field at Nissan Stadium this morning. It is a good day to be alive. Good morning.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I know the Tennessee fans have been very excited to see the pictures of those. And as I was driving back through downtown yesterday, a lot of people in orange and white walking around Demumbrian and Broadway and all the different places, already sort of invading town from different parts of the state. Fun, just a lot of fun to have college football in Nashville, and especially to have the University of Tennessee play here. Hopefully something they'll be doing on a regular basis going forward.
That's right. Sounded like an open on the Vol Network there for a minute. From Johnson City to Memphis. They're making their way.
No. From Mountain City to Memphis.
That's right. There you go. There you go.
Mike, I know you, okay, and everyone in the studio does too. I only have one request, man, this entire year. If I can just bring my youngest to come say what's up to Mike Keefe, and you just say, well, hello, Miles. That'll make his year. That's his Christmas present. I just need you to know, save me some money and make that his Christmas present.
Well, you need to up his level of expectation in life. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough 85 years for him. So let's work on that.
We'll work on that.
We can definitely do that.
Okay, that works. He's such a fan of you, though.
Love it.
Thank you.
Mike Keith, our guest here this morning on the show. Mike, as the pieces start to come together on this Titans roster, what is the most unique aspect of Rand Carthon's first initial 53 compared to past Tennessee Titans teams before this one?
I would say how much they liked the 90-man roster they had. Because if you look at the practice squad, and if you look at the initial 53 and then we're already on version, 4 of the first 53, it's been largely the guys that were here. And I think we'll probably see some more come back at different points, even guys that were cut, practice squad-wise. They liked that group, and they were very comfortable with that group and where they fit as pieces. And I thought, as I watched training camp, I thought, okay, there's a game day 48 here. There's your 53 here. I see practice squad here in terms of how they liked the positions that fit together and what they were thinking about special teams and so on and so forth. Very impressive. Very impressive that they felt like that they got the right guys in here. They had the work. I like this team from back in the spring. I was like, they fit and they work well, and you can see developmental pieces. You can see guys that can help you right away. You can see role players. You can see starters. You can see future starters. There's a lot of good stuff here. And that, to me, the 90 and how much they like the 90 is the most unique part. They did not have to tinker as much as, what we've seen over the past 25, nearly 30 years, on average at least.
Mike, what does Trevis Gibson add to this Titans defense?
Size. He's big. He's big like Rashard Weaver at the outside linebacker position. I think he brings, that edge that Rashard brings, that power against the run game. I think his pursuit is outstanding. I think his versatility is outstanding. We didn't block him on August 12th in the first preseason game very well, and he showed up a lot. He was a player that I had written up when he was coming out of Tulsa as somebody you're like, okay, this looks like a 3-4 player who could fit. And I think he's sort of made for this system and made for the role. That part of it, I was interested. I had a friend who texted me the other night, and he said, where do you want to see more depth on this roster? And it's funny, the first two positions that I hit were corner and outside linebacker. And, they go to the Bears and get Vildor at corner, and then they get Gibson at outside linebacker. And so you feel very good about the experience at those two spots, because those two guys can help you at New Orleans in 9 days. And you're doing some of that with this roster now as you turn, you do the first couple rosters and you're saying, okay, this is our team and this looks good for long term. And eventually this guy will get through to practice squad and, all the things that you're doing from an accounting standpoint and from just sort of a puzzle standpoint. And now we start to go, okay, who can help you beat the Saints? These two guys can help you beat the Saints. And I think that's exciting.
Mike, you talked about the outside linebacker group. There are a lot of people, a lot of fans that have been asking us, what's the deal with Monty Rice? I spoke with him in the locker room the other day. He said, I've been dealing with some stuff outside of football, but he's back on the practice field. Mike, what does he need to do in terms of taking steps forward here at the start of the season?
He needs to be a dominant special teams player. Dominant. And he can be. I think that's the way he's got to work himself back in. And the difficulty that you have in the systems today is that so many downs, you're playing 4 guys to rush the passer, you're playing the 2 inside linebackers, and you're playing 5 defensive backs, or you're bringing in another defensive back to be a nickel linebacker, and you're only playing 1 inside backer. Azeez Al-Shire is going to be on the field every down, seemingly. When there's a second inside linebacker right now, it appears that it will be Jack Gibbons. So they fit. If you were playing the standard 4-3 all the time system or the standard 3-4 all the time system, there would be more opportunities for somebody who plays inside linebacker. Right now, they're not. And so he's got to continue to fight his way back in. And I think it's going to start with him on special teams to get that opportunity to say, okay, you've got to put me on the field more snaps because I'm a player who just makes a difference all the time. I'm an impact player.
Absolutely. And speaking of special teams, Mike, obviously Kyle Phillips put on IR, so he'll miss 4 games. Kearis Jackson earning a spot on this team, and we can clearly say he'll probably be seen a lot on special teams. How about the punt return? Are you confident in a guy like that returning punts to start the season?
Or it could be Mason Kinsey called up from the practice squad on game day. Those are aspects that you could look at. It could be Eric Garrer called up from the practice squad on game day. It's a big week for Kearis. He needs to have an excellent week of practice to show that kind of confidence because the focus right now is obviously this week on the 53. The focus next week is who's going to be active. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be players that have to go down because they're needed in different ways. And so, for the Titans at receiver, without Kyle Phillips, somebody has to step in and take that third receiver spot. Is that somebody who gets a game day roster spot over, say, a Kearis Jackson because he's not far enough along as a receiver to help you if he needs to go in the game and do that? If he proves that he can and he shows good confidence in the punt return game, then he's going to get a chance. But, those things are yet to be determined. Again, talking towards now we start to focus who can help you beat the Saints. And he's got to give you as much confidence during the week of practice to be able to show that he can help you beat the Saints.
Yeah.
Mike, as far as this season goes, man, if we go back to February, March, April, May, those months right there, I think we can say this. Challenges were accepted and echoes were heard as far as what Vrabel and Rand's expectation and as far as this team goes, too, because the soft tissue stuff, I think it was addressed as far as Christian goes, Traylon goes, mostly all of those things, too, and just the physicality. How would you sum from February to this point?
A great success. I really do. I think this is where you wanted to be with this football team because I think, Ramon, it's going to start with defense. I think they have the opportunity to be outstanding on defense, and I think they, health-wise and personnel-wise, you look at them and you say, yeah, they could be pretty good. And so you're in the position physically and in terms of what you got out of practice. Look at how many guys practiced. May, June, July, August. You didn't have a lot of guys sitting out of practice, so you got a lot of work done. So guys are in shape, so they're ready to play. And then offensively, the same sort of thing. Guys practiced. You know, we heard DeAndre Hopkins doesn't practice. That doesn't seem to be true. Not what I saw. Looks like he practices to me. You know, Traylon Burks gets hurt in Minnesota. He's already back out there. You've gotten great work, and so you've given yourself the best chance to be as ready to go for the start of the season as possible. You're right, Ramon. There was a level of expectation laid out, and, you know, the challenge was given, and I think the challenge has been met to give you the best chance to start the season to be as good as you can possibly be. Doesn't mean anybody's going undefeated, you know.
Right.
We're not getting into that, and you don't want to go, oh, well, you've gotten all the way through practice, and so now it's automatically going to be great. No, but you've given yourself the best chance. And that was what the overall goal was to have people out there to get the work in, to get ready, to be as good as you can possibly be. Because what the league comes down to is you've got to take whatever team you've got, whatever it is you do, and you've got to be the very best at it you can possibly be. We're not competing with Kansas City to be Kansas City. That they're going to do what they're going to do and be great at it. But if we're great at what we do, we'll be able to compete with them. And that's what they're saying in Baltimore right now, and that's what they're certainly saying in Cincinnati right now, in Buffalo. Everywhere you go, you've got to do what you've got to do to the best of your ability. You know, that's what our 2008 team was. That club was really good at what they did. And when we've been good, we've been really good at what we did. And you've given yourself that shot.
Definitely. One person that's really good and doesn't really need a whole lot of praise, but I'm going to do it anyway because as a person that's been injured and kind of on the outside looking in, trying to get back, Dylan Radunz, right, and Jeff's relationship as of late with him trying to help and work him back. I think a lot of people look at guys that get paid as like, man, they don't deserve that. But Jeff's taking on that role of, man, I'm a leader vocally, physically, on the field, in the locker room. But for him to be lending his services to a guy like Dylan Radunz, man, what does it say about him and also where this team is at? And because you can be teammates and not like each other or not communicate or, hey, I only play for the defense.
Right. Yeah, and you hear that in baseball too, where hitters won't talk to pitchers and vice versa because they know they'll go against each other probably someday. But what the contract does with Jeff is it means he's going to be teammates with these guys for quite some time. And, you know, that's another benefit to getting a contract done and saying to a player, look, you're a franchise player. You're a foundational piece. I think, and that's why they paid Jeff, Ramon, for all of this, is he works. He played through injury last year. He is a dominant player at his position. He is that kind of teammate. And what they've said on a team where you have a lot of guys who are either at the end of contracts or on one-year contracts or getting their big shot, the one guy who really got paid is the guy that they want everybody to be like. So they've held Jeff up to the rest of this team saying, if these are the things that you do, we pay. We're not afraid to pay. We're not afraid to pay at the very top of the market because this is what we value so much. And I think Jeff has taken that on as well. He has grasped that and gone to a completely different level. We've seen him do it, and Skronsky has talked about it quite a bit, and he's talked about Skronsky a lot. That's a very healthy thing. But I don't think anybody who's been around Jeff has been any bit surprised by what he is and what he means.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, our guest this morning here on 104.5 The Zone. Mike, cool for any of us who have grown up in this city to see somebody who played high school football for the Hillsboro Burros get to make a Tennessee Titans roster. I know Rand Carthon mentioned at the podium, he didn't even know that was a thing until Mike Vrabel mentioned it and said, Burros, walking by him, which I thought was cool. What did Matthew do in order to earn a spot on this initial 53?
I mean, he's done everything the right way. He's consistently improved. I don't think if you saw him in June, you thought, he's on the 53. You thought maybe he's on the practice squad, but he just kept getting better. And he didn't make the same mistakes. And, he's got good size. He's 6'1", he's about 210. He really runs. He throws his body around. And he has that sort of hunger that you want to see out of a guy who knows life and death for him is going to be special teams. And so all of those things have added up in a way. And let's face it, too, there was a position of need. He's a safety, and, they needed safety. They need safety depth. So right place, right time, taking that opportunity. And, when you do the math, or you do the addition, subtraction, however you want to call it, to get, to really narrow it down about how guys have a chance to make it. He's not a guy you would have seen, when they put the 90 together, you wouldn't have said, but he's the guy that, if given the opportunity, he never failed to take it, because you never know. And I don't know what the future holds for him beyond today. But what I do know is he's put himself in this position by doing it the way Vrabel and Rand Carthon want to see it done. And Craig Ackerman and, the rest of the staff. So really happy for him. Happy for the Hillsborough program. It's a big deal for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a big deal to see one of yours in that role, because as they try to do special things with a football program that's had a lot of special throughout their recent history.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. And it's a great thing for what we hope that football means in the community in terms of how we promote it. Now, those aren't jobs 1 and 2 for anybody involved. But as a side benefit, it's a beautiful thing.
Mike, and another local guy making that initial 53 is Colton Dowell. And he said yesterday he found out on Twitter that he made the roster, which was so funny. But, how big was that kind of that New England game, too, and just the end of his training camp to really solidify a spot?
He was thinking too much early, Kayla.
Okay.
And was not playing as fast as he could. He's a smart guy. And sometimes smart guys let their brains get in the way. And so, what they wanted him to do is just cut it loose and play. And in the New England game, you saw a couple plays where he just cut it loose and played. You understand why they liked him from his UT Martin tape. And he's got some things physically that are going to give him a chance to play receiver in this league. But early, it's like, he just wasn't making many plays, and he was having problems in practice, kind of keeping up with everything, because he was sort of in his own head a little bit. And I think as he started to move out of that, as he's just cut it loose, you understand what it is. And listen, everybody's pulling for the guy because he's a really great kid. He has all of those sorts of qualities. And so you're saying, okay, let's see it. And we saw it. I think we're going to continue to see it. I think his confidence will continue to grow through the course of the season as he becomes a pro. And Ramon can speak to this. I mean, that aspect of it is so overwhelming for a small school guy oftentimes. Ramon came out of Tennessee, which is a big program, and that certainly helped him becoming an undrafted with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because there's been a different level of expectation in every area, not just the football area. When you come from a smaller school, everything matters, and you didn't quite realize it. And so it can be overwhelming. I think he's handled it, and I think he will continue to handle it. He's got battles ahead. There's still a lot of work to be done, but really thrilled for him and thrilled for the organization and for his family and his friends. I mean, it's a really good story.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, our guest here, as always, 8:20 on Fridays here on the show. Mike, I'm just glad we get to shout out, again, the unique nicknames of high school football programs in Tennessee. I mean, I'm the son of a Clinton Dragon alumnus. We talked Carnes Beavers last week with Brent Hubbs, the Hillsborough Burros today. There are a lot of Eagles, Tigers, and Bears out there. Good to give the local schools some credit. Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing. It is truly a beautiful thing to be able to do all of the nicknames from around the state. And you got the Clinton Dragons in there from Anderson County. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Ronnie Bowling is smiling somewhere, hearing his alma mater shouted out. Mike, thank you.
There you go. See you.
All right. There's Mike Keith with us this morning. The two Dragons in Tennessee. You know the other one, right?
No.
West Tennessee.
West Tennessee.
It's 901 day, too, man.
It is 901 day. I'm a West Tennessee rep.
Collierville.
Collierville Dragons?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think they got a Beach this past weekend, too.
I think this,
Yeah, they ended up beating Beach out. Sure did.
Well, speaking of high school football, let's talk with Sammy Kincaid coming up next.
Hey.
She's watching Beach take on Riverdale tonight on Friday Night Rivals, My TV 30. We'll get the latest on that coming up next. Friday morning continues right here on RKW, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. A full studio on this football eve with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. We're joined by our 104.5 The Zone teammate, Sammy Kincaid, who will be on the sidelines for Beach at Riverdale tonight. What's up, Sammy? Good morning.
Good morning, you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun to join you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Want to talk some high school football, but first, you had quite the guest on the Ultimate Tennessee podcast, which you have taken over and run with it. Danny White on the podcast this week.
Yeah, no, I feel like week one of me taking over the podcast from you and Lucas, y'all definitely set the stage high for me to take over, but I'm very grateful to now be the host of that. And I said, you know what? It's the Ultimate Tennessee podcast.
Yes.
You can only start one way, and that's with the ultimate man in charge, Danny White. So it was great catching up with Danny. We worked together previously, and so it's always fun to get to talk to him again.
I'm sure it's different for him too now at this stop and just, bigger name, bigger conference. He seems pretty thrilled about it and seems to be doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to somebody about just his family in athletics. Even though it's a bigger name and bigger conference, I don't think that's really a shock for him just because of what he's grown up around. And his entire family is in athletics. He had his dad at Duke, brother at FAU, and now his brother's coaching at Georgia, right? He was at Florida.
Crazy.
And I want to say he has a sister in athletics as well. So, I mean, his family is all around athletics. It's not anything different for him.
Yeah.
But whenever he was hired at Tennessee, I said, I'm so thankful he's going to my alma mater, knowing what was going on with Tennessee athletics, and just they were in a hole and knew they had more things on the horizon, and there was no one better to get Tennessee in good shape. And just how fast he's changed the conversation about Tennessee athletics being in such a bad place to where it is now is incredible. But I'm honestly not shocked.
Yeah.
You knew he was this good.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever we were working together, just how fast he is. Whenever it was as soon as the Peach Bowl was over, whenever UCF was playing Auburn, as soon as it was over. And it was pretty common for Eric DeSalvo to be up in his face with a camera afterwards to get his first thoughts. But he said 13-0 national champions. Like that, completely unprompted. Just how forward-thinking he is. Yeah. And he's always thinking, what's next? How can I help promote this to the next stage? Yeah. So I'm really not surprised.
If you ever want to make an Auburn fan in your life mad, don't mention any Alabama games. Just mention that. And,
for real?
Oh, yeah. It is one way to make an Auburn fan very upset. But high school football as well going on. Week 3 already. Sammy, you've got Beach Riverdale. This is a blue blood matchup in Middle Tennessee high school football.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really good one tonight. And Will Kreisky at Riverdale, he was saying that they actually talked to each other it was the All-Star game back in December. He was talking to Crabtree, and Creasy was there as well. So you had some of a lot of coaches the coach in royalty here in Nashville, and they were kind of joking with each other. And he said, "Oh, I got you week 3." Crabtree was saying that to Kreisky, and he said, "No, you don't." And he said, "Yeah, Matt Kreisky." And he was like, "That's my brother, Will Kreisky." But with all the region changes, they were able to actually make it happen week 3.
That's cool.
But yeah, no. So it's going to be a fantastic game tonight. I'm really curious to see who will actually be on the field for Riverdale. That's a really big storyline headed into tonight because they did have 5 guys out last week. At practice this week, he said a lot of the guys will be day-to-day. Check back with me on Friday to see who's actually going to be playing. But one big name that will be back is Brock Montgomery, which will be huge for them. He was out last week, kind of precautionary with a hamstring injury. They wanted to wait till they got into region play to really let him loose and have fun on the field.
Big showing tonight for both of these teams too. Beach travels well. I'm sure Murfreesboro is going to show up for this one. Run game, pass game. How do you view this flow?
Well, you see, whenever we were out there this morning, I was out there with Fox 17, and the photog said, "Wow, they have like a TV out here, and what's going on out here?" And I said, "Yeah, that's a famous TV. It's going to be a huge crowd from both sides." And one thing that Caden for Beach, he was saying that he was coming from Smith County. Yep. And so he's the new quarterback at Beach, and he said that they run more of a wing T at Smith County. And so even though Beach is very run heavy, it was something that he's having to adjust to because last week he did not really use the weapons on the outside. And he said that's where they have to be more successful this week. And so That's one thing I expect to see early on is that he's trying to get the ball out to them quicker. He said that last week, as soon as he would drop back to throw, DBs were already taking it. They were already bailing. And so he said, I have to be quicker this week because that was a problem last week.
Love that.
She is Sammy Kincaid on the sidelines tonight for Beach and Riverdale. My TV 30, 7 o'clock kickoff. You having fun so far?
Oh, it's such a blast. I have been so excited to be able to do this on Friday nights whenever I moved back. This was the one thing I had circled.
Yep.
I wanted to be a part of it. I love high school football. It's a different environment.
It's the best.
It's good to keep it going, too, here and get in it pub.
Yeah.
So.
And subscribe to the Ultimate Tennessee podcast wherever you download podcasts as well. Hear the Danny White conversation and more as the season continues. Sammy, thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys. All
right, coming up next, a reset of the headlines, Titans transactions as we begin hour 4, and the biggest question about Tennessee football you want to see answered tomorrow. That's next on RKW.
Hey, this is Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, and you're wondering, well, what is the Ingram Agency? Well, it's a local agency founded from the ground up in 2010. My good friend Chris Ingram, along with his fully licensed team of professionals, they've really created a strong agency here focusing on serving all of Middle Tennessee and really the entire state. So if you need insurance, which many of us do, this is the company to work with, specializing in a wide array of products. They do everything: auto, home, life, commercial, even aviation. And this is not your average insurance company. You're not going to get lost in the mix or lost in an insurance company's roster. The Ingram Agency, founded on passion for education and, most importantly, support. Their goal has always really been to guide and protect clients comprehensively. So if you want a family-owned insurance company who actually cares about you, call the Ingram Agency, 615-206-8276, or log on to theingramagency.com. Rest easy with the Ingram Agency.
9 o'clock on the dot. Happy Football Friday. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. 2 contract extensions happened yesterday that reshaped money for both of their positions. The first, we're going to Miami with the Dolphins and Alec Ingold at fullback as they have agreed to a 3-year extension worth up to $17 million. Ingold passes Pat Ricard as the AFC's highest paid fullback on a deal that ties the versatile weapon and the team leader to Miami through 2026. Then to Minnesota as TJ Hawkins is signing a 4-year, $68.5 million contract extension that resets the tight end market. The $17 million annually and the $14.5 million guaranteed are the highest for a tight end in NFL history. So the ACC got together and they said, we're cool with it. Presidents and chancellors have voted to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU to the league, sources told Nicole Auerbach. And some scores from last night all around college football. Minnesota and PJ Fleck rode the boat right over the rejuvenation tour of Matt Rule. Minnesota took the Cornhuskers to the woodshed 13-10. UCF over Kent State 56-6, and Utah takes down Florida and gets a little week 1 revenge from last year 24-11. And the game y'all care about coming up Saturday. You got pregame starting at 9 o'clock, kickoff at 11. Vol Network's going to have it all the way for you. Even the postgame goes till 5 p.m. So check it out right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth quarter of the show on your Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We are 26 hours. I was told there would be no math away from Tennessee Volunteers American Rules tackle football being played right here in Music City, USA. Alongside VFL Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. We have a saying on this show which says, it's Friday, act like it.
This one is dedicated. They'll work 9 to 5.
Just turn this up a little bit in your headphones.
Yeah.
In your car stereo. It's all right. We will allow you to have a good Friday.
We will. Not a thing wrong with it.
In fact, we would encourage it.
It is Friday.
Feels good.
Feels real good.
615-737-1045. We have got the opportunity to take your phone calls here for a few minutes before we get back to the phones and talk to Andy Staples of On3 coming up in 15 minutes. Biggest takeaways from last night's games with him, and who needs a win more, LSU or Florida State this upcoming weekend?
Ooh.
That one will be good.
Yeah. I don't know if they're in the same boat or what, LSU and Florida State, but there's a
Similar.
lot on the line.
Yep.
A lot.
Titans did make a number of roster moves yesterday. Travis Gibson was signed to the active roster. Corey Levin was re-signed to the active roster. Kyle Phillips was placed on injured reserve. Justin Murray was released from the active roster. Sam Okuanu was released from the practice squad. And kicker Cade York, a 4th-round pick by the Cleveland Browns out of LSU, who went 24 of 32 for Cleveland in 2022, is added to the practice squad. So, Titans have their short and long-term answers potentially at kicker.
They do.
After having no answers just a few weeks ago. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Jay in Hendersonville, who has been waiting patiently to get in on the conversation this morning. What's up, Jay?
Good morning, Jay.
I drank 2 or 3 cups of coffee, but I think I'm ready to make a comment now.
Outstanding.
I'm just kidding, man. I'm kidding. God, I've listened to so much this morning, and it just, you know what? It makes me really proud to be from Tennessee and be from the Nashville area and think of so much that we have the opportunity to be part of sports, and sports in this town is incredible. But I just want to talk about Hendersonville High School a little bit. They seem to be really putting up some big numbers starting off the year, and I think that's pretty impressive. I don't know who's putting them numbers up, but if it's the whole team or if it's a few individuals, but I'm pretty proud of that. And then I'm also, of course, I'm proud of Tennessee, and I can't wait for tomorrow to watch college football on TV. And I just love that Florida stinks now. I really do. I love that. That's incredible. I can't wait till Tennessee plays them. I hope they destroy them. And I also want to shout out a little bit about auto racing and how proud I am of Joseph Newgarden from Hendersonville, and how proud I am of Josh Berry. So I'll let it go with that.
Nice.
Man.
Love that shout out.
Thank you, Jay.
I'm telling you, this simple Sumner, man, we do it. We might be doing it as a county.
Hendersonville Commandos football has been outstanding this year. 47-33 over Gallatin. They beat Clarksville Northeast 54-0. They got Brentwood tonight.
Sure
Big
do.
one.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Tim is in Nashville up next with us this morning. Hey, Tim.
Tim?
Hey, guys. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm just calling about respect because nobody's giving my LSU Tigers any respect.
Are they not?
Florida State Seminoles, no. Or to win the West, to win the SEC, or a national championship.
Didn't the media pick them to win the West, though?
It doesn't seem like it on some accounts.
Okay.
What account specifically?
Okay.
The accounts where everybody's going, oh, Alabama's still ahead, but they don't even know who their damn quarterback is. Oops, sorry, pardon
There
my
you go. There you go.
You know, so I'm just saying, look at what Brian Kelly has done in this horrible accent for his first year. To come now, I think we're there.
Yeah, they're definitely there.
I think they are too.
How-
It's just go ahead.
Okay, well, Tim's gone, Robert tells me now. So I was going to say, I just don't know how confident you can be going to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama in their building, but more power to you if you do.
I mean, and this is a neutral site, but you got to go to Orlando to play this one on the night game, too, against Florida State this week coming up.
Yeah.
I thought actually more people are high on LSU.
I think
than
people
anything.
are too high on LSU.
I mean, their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a Heisman candidate, my brother. Like, I'm with you on the LSU slander. Like, I didn't pick LSU to win tomorrow. Sunday. I didn't pick them to win. I got Florida State in that game just because of the elements and where they are and Florida State's transfers. I for some reason, I may be giving Florida State too much credit, just simply because everybody talks about how big and how impactful their transfers are going to be.
What I will tell you is they got plenty of respect at SEC Media Days, and we were there, and it clearly was probably one of the biggest talks of SEC Media Days was the rise of LSU, was the job he was doing there, was Jaden Daniels. I mean, those were all very big talking points. So I don't think they're necessarily not getting respect. I think Florida State has made a little bit heavy of a charge here. And for this matchup specifically, maybe Florida State's getting a little more love.
Yep.
615-737-1045, the number. Zach is in Hendersonville. Up next, talking Vols with us this morning. What's up, Zach?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to say it's Friday, and I think I'm going to act like it.
Yeah.
I have a few things to say about some Cavaliers.
Yep.
Chris Long.
Freaking bum.
Matt Cobb.
This freaking clown.
The Brickashaw Ferguson.
Yes.
Freaking bum.
Derek Dooley.
Freaking bum.
And to Coach Tony Elliott. Well, I have a little poem for the whole University of Virginia. The media's mumbling. Nissan's rumbling. Cavaliers fumbling. It don't matter. Vols by 50. Go ahead, Bert. Y'all have a great day. Go Vols.
I love it.
Zach in Hendersonville. Bringing it for the first time in football season.
I see some of the county representing.
Outstanding.
Good stuff there.
Outstanding.
Hey, we've been solid.
Freaking boom.
615-737-1045. Brian in Lebanon. Let's see if you can top that. What's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. I just want to say sorry, little brother Vanderbilt. We're coming to Nashville this weekend. And also, I want to say I had a question about the injury. I've been seeing a lot on the internet about petitions, the players signing, trying to get all grass fields. Is that something that's really trying to take over with all the non-contact injuries?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. That's been a little bit of a conversation for sure. There is a contingent of NFL talent that is in that camp. Yeah,
it is. And just based on the fact that the old style of turf has always caused some issue. The ground, natural ground, gives a little bit better than the turf does.
Yep.
It's always going to be a big topic.
Let's get one more call here before we get to Andy Staples on the other side. Let's go to Tony, who calls in from Alabama this morning. Hey, Tony.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning. Tony.
Hey, Ramon and Will. I called in a couple times last year talking about Arsenal and the SEC. No, I'm an Alabama guy, but I was listening to y'all preview Tennessee's schedule yesterday, and I mean, are they giving a discount for those season tickets this year? Because that home schedule is just garbage. I mean, I'm living the same thing here. I got a kid at Auburn, and so I had to buy Auburn season tickets this year. Their home schedule is garbage as well, except for Alabama coming in. But I mean, Tennessee's always got a bad schedule anyway because you get Kentucky or Vandy come to town at least once. But what is up with that out-of-conference schedule specifically?
Well,
I know the SEC does that a lot.
Yeah.
That's just a bad schedule for to charge full price to watch those games at home.
So Georgia at home isn't a big one?
That's why I bought Auburn tickets this year because I know sorry.
I mean, A&M could be a top 15 team when they go to Neyland too, and South Carolina could be top 25. I mean, it's a fair point.
You know what? I never looked at it like this. I never have. He brought up that's an eye-opening moment for me, Will.
The non-conference schedule is not difficult for Tennessee this year. Originally, their plan was to go to Provo and play at BYU this season, and they bought out of that game and pivoted elsewhere. And that's why they're playing UVA in Nashville. This was supposed to be at BYU tomorrow.
I never had a thought about that. That is a fair question to ask for a consumer.
Between that and then Georgia and Tennessee both had to cancel non-conference games against Oklahoma because Oklahoma is now an SEC team, obviously. So that's why Georgia's schedule is particularly weak this year, is because they're not playing Oklahoma. And because their non-conference Power 5 requirement is Georgia Tech, and they're, barely a Power 5 team.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. We will get to a few more phone calls at the end of the show. But coming up next, our friend Andy Staples of On3 previews the entire college football weekend and recaps what his alma mater did last night in Salt Lake City. Coming up right here on RKW. Feels like fall in Nashville as we get you ready for the full Week 1 slate tomorrow of college football. It's RKW powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. We're joined on the phone lines by our good friend Andy Staples from On3. We had Brent Hubbs of VolQuest.com at 7:20 this morning. We've got Andy right now, the On3 brand well represented here on the show this morning. Andy, how are you?
Heck yeah, we're starting and finishing, you guys.
That's right. Absolutely. I have to say, Andy, too, real quick, just to be a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe pandering, but as an AWL, very cool to hear a familiar voice on Pardon My Take on your interview with those guys earlier.
That was fun, and I don't think I said anything too stupid. Did I say Florida was going to beat Utah? I might have said that. That was probably bad. That was probably a mistake.
So let's start there, Andy. Where does the breakdown begin for you of this one? Because the pre-snap penalties, the mistakes, Utah being able to do what they did to Florida with 8 starters missing. What surprised you the most in this for Florida?
That it wasn't necessarily a talent thing, that it was more coaching and detail. Because people have been told for a year and a half now that Billy Napier is the most detail-oriented coach this side of Nick Saban or Kirby Smart. But when you send 2 number 3s out on the field when you're about to get a punt and you could potentially turn the game around by scoring on that possession, that's not detail-oriented. And most of their mistakes last night were not physical mistakes or mistakes of you just weren't good enough. It was mental stuff that could have been cleaned up in preseason practice. And so there's 2 ways to look at that. You can be upset because the coaching staff didn't get the job done, but you could also say, well, they weren't out-talented by one of the better teams in the Pac-12, although, as you mentioned, they were missing a bunch of starters at Utah. Perhaps those things get cleaned up and Florida is better going forward. Now, we won't probably understand which of those is true until Tennessee shows up in Gainesville in a couple weeks.
Andy Staples, our guest on 3 this morning on RKW. It's incredible, Andy, that Nebraska has now lost 20 of its last 24 games decided by single digits. What did you take away from that one last night, Minnesota getting the win, and what was kind of your take on Matt Rule's first Nebraska team being out there on the field?
Turnover margin is a real thing. When it's 5-1, you're probably going to lose, no matter what you did well. And Nebraska's defense played really well. But they had 2 – the Jeff Sims interception right before the half was probably the worst one, the one he throws in the end zone, because if you just throw that ball away, kick a field goal, you win the game. Like, that's all there is to it. And so they've got to get that part figured out. You know, Sims is very physically talented. The question is he going to try too hard to fit balls into places they don't need to go and give the ball away? Because if that's going to keep happening, then they're going to have to do something different. But that defense will give them chances to win games. Like, that was outstanding.
I listened to you and I listened to you on Paul Feinbaum's podcast the other day, man, and just hearing you and Paul go back and forth about something I think everybody's talking about at the beginning of the season. That's Nick Saban and how he's super innovative. And, you know, anytime he says something, it seems like he's at the head of the curve. You guys kind of pushed back on that a little bit the other day.
Is who's ahead of? I'm sorry, Ramon. I missed the last part of that question.
It was the Nick Saban conversation you and Feinbaum had the other day. The way he's supposed to be innovative.
Yeah. No, I mean, he still is most of the time. But there are times when he's not. Like, they're not giving out a depth chart this week and then lecturing everybody. It's just because you don't care about the Middle Tennessee game. No, it's because you don't want to field phone calls from angry parents of quarterbacks, or because you don't want to tell us what your plan at quarterback is. And that's your prerogative, but it's okay. And I kind of figured it out, you know, because I used to be one of those people who always thought Nick Saban had a plan, and then he went after Texas A&M last year when they had a better recruiting class than him, and he's like, well, they just bought them all, and maybe they did. Who cares? That's the rules now. So don't whine about it. But it was funny because it teed up that insane Jimbo Fisher reaction. And that's when I realized, oh, wait, he didn't have a plan going into that. He just said it. And so, it's interesting because Saban usually is several steps ahead of everybody, and we do have to accept it. Sometimes he's not, though.
Yeah, and another thing, too, that was fascinating hearing you guys say, because quarterbacks who start, who doesn't start right now, Utah kind of went through that a little bit last night, too, as far as trying to figure out who's going to be their starting quarterback. But Alabama, it was fascinating to hear you guys say Milroe is the fan favorite as far as his team goes, his teammates go. And not naming him could probably ruffle some feathers or kind of change the team dynamic. Do you see that being an issue he wouldn't be able to control?
Only if one of the quarterbacks isn't clearly better. Players know when somebody's better. It's only when the guys are all about the same that you got to pick the guy that everybody likes. But if one of them is just clearly better when they're playing in the games, then no, it won't matter. And so the assumption is Milroe will be the first guy out when they play Middle Tennessee. And then we'll see somebody whose first name starts with T.Y., whether it's Ty Simpson or Tyler Buckner. And, I think at that point you just figure out who's the best when the lights are on and then go with that guy.
Andy, the lights will be on this Sunday when LSU and Florida State match up. A lot of people, we even had a caller come on and say, hey, you're not respecting my LSU Tigers. Like, we're not getting enough respect. FSU's kind of gotten some fans jump on here late just with some of the emphasis on, the Seminoles here and what they're doing. Are we not giving LSU enough credit?
They're favored in the game, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how much more credit do they want? They're supposed to win the game. That seems like plenty of credit. No, I mean, look, they're both good teams. They're both very, they're not perfect teams. I don't know that either one's a national title contender, but they both have really good position groups and some elite talent at various spots. But the thing is, I don't know, is Florida State good enough on both lines of scrimmage? And is LSU good enough in secondary? We don't know that. And I think in this particular game, Florida State's best position group is its receivers. LSU's worst is its secondary. So I feel like if LSU's going to win this game, it's got to be in a track meet. And now they can probably do that, but I got to see it. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to see out of Jordan Travis and what I'm going to see out of Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, the Florida State receivers. I need to see, one, can LSU stop them? And if they can't stop them, can they just keep pace scoring? And perhaps they can, because LSU has really good receivers too. And Dane Daniels certainly looked more comfortable in that offense as the season went on last year. So I'm excited for this game because I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like they're pretty evenly matched, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be there in person, so
awesome.
I can't wait.
I'm jealous, Andy. ACC presidents and chancellors this morning, it looks like they have voted in to extend invitations to Stanford, Cal, and SMU. So that will push the league to 18 teams. What do you think about these ads? And then, Andy, I want your honest perspective on what happens now with my alma mater, Washington State, and then Oregon State.
Woo. Okay, so as far as the ACC taking these guys, it does not make any sense at all from a practical standpoint. We know it's about money, and it basically what they're doing is pre-backfilling in case they lose Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina.
Yep.
Because basically the way their ESPN contract works, if they have 15 total teams, Notre Dame being one of them, so 14 football playing teams, then they get to keep the same amount of money. If they ever drop below that number, then ESPN can reopen the negotiations and pay them less. So they took 3, and there were 3 that voted against it. And so that should tell you all you need to know. Oh. They're not sure they can keep Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina, and so they're future-proofing themselves right now. Yep. That's what that is. Now, as far as Washington State and Oregon State, there's a couple options on the table. They could just join the American. They could join the Mountain West. I don't think that's the best option.
Nope.
Right now, the president of Washington State and the president of Oregon State, they are the executive committee for the Pac-12, which means they control all the Pac-12's NCAA tournament money. They control the Pac-12's branding. They own all of it right now. They could essentially – now, you wouldn't try to draw teams away out of the Mountain West because they'd have to pay too much money. But you could merge with them.
Wow.
And call yourself the Pac-14 or whatever, and nobody can say boo. You could also theoretically operate as your own conference for a year or two.
True.
Which would be amazing. The conference championship game would be the one regular season game between Washington State and Oregon State.
Right.
But that seems a little extreme. I think the more likely one is that merger scenario, which would make sense geographically, would make sense actually from a football standpoint. I think put those teams with Boise State and San Diego State, I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. I like that, Andy.
Do we now call Washington State and Oregon State 2-pack?
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
Let's go. Greatest hits.
100%.
Tupac might be equally as alive as Tupac, unfortunately. Andy.
Brenda's got a conference.
Outstanding.
It looked like the Big Ten also hit them up.
I was going to say, I hate that we even need to
days.
shift back to college football from this, because if we could just do this for the rest of this conversation, Andy.
I ain't mad at you, Will.
Perfect.
Hey, matter of fact, everybody in the Pac-12 said, picture me rolling.
Let's go.
I'm done.
And in
It's the
Berkeley
weekend.
right now, they've got a lot of California love for the ACC. Andy,
You had to throw. That's really a Dre song. Let's be real.
that's fair. That's fair. I'm showing my age there, telling on myself, picking the most, well-known or whatever it is. But Andy, you posted your playoff picks the other day. We posted ours earlier this morning. You've got Penn State and Clemson in your Final Four. I want to start with Penn State. What makes them the pick for you over Michigan or Ohio State?
I think they're as close as they've been to Michigan and Ohio State in years in terms of elite talent. They get Michigan at home, which they can play Michigan when they play them at home. They get smoked when they go to Ann Arbor for whatever reason, but they get them at home, and they always seem to play Ohio State tough wherever they play them. And so I think there's a chance that they could potentially beat them both. And it really is going to depend on Drew Aller, the quarterback, if he is really an upgrade over Sean Clifford. But in terms of elite talent on both lines of scrimmage, I mean, Olufashinu is probably the first offensive tackle off the board in draft next year. Chop Robinson and Abdul Carter, potential first-round draft picks in 24 and 25. Like, that is not what we've seen from Penn State in a while. They had Micah Parsons, but then, he opts out of that last year. They didn't actually figure out how to use him until the, middle of his second year. Like, Abdul Carter is very much like that, and they already know how to use him as a sophomore.
So one team that I'm putting in my Final Four, and Ramon did the same thing, we both are declaring that Texas is back and believing in what Steve Sarkisian has this year. What does their path look like? What are the biggest obstacles, aside from Alabama in week 2, for a team that is as talented and maybe close to actually being back as they've been since Mac Brown was there?
They're going to be favored in 11 games. That Alabama game is the only game they're not going to be favored in. And so it's really up to them to just win the games they're supposed to win. And that's something that Texas had a problem doing of late. You go back to last year, like the Texas Tech loss, the Oklahoma State loss, they make no sense. There's absolutely no reason why they should have happened. But you can point to any Texas season in the past, well, since 2009 really, and find a bunch of those. Find at least 2 of those every year. And you can't have that. If you're going to have that, you're probably going to lose to Alabama and Oklahoma too, and then you're going to have, whether it's Texas Tech, whether it's TCU, Kansas State, we'll see. But they're going to be more talented than all of those teams except for Alabama. It's up to them to prove they can actually beat them when they're supposed to.
Very fascinating outlook this weekend, too. It's 2 games I'm really looking forward to seeing, just to see how the teams respond and their teams and quarterbacks and coaches. That's TCU versus Colorado. And honestly, North Carolina versus South Carolina. I want to see what Spencer Rattler's about, and especially with the momentum they ended the season with.
Yeah, so the North Carolina-South Carolina is interesting to me. I want to see if North Carolina can stop anybody, because we know that Drake May's good. We know that everybody in the NFL wants Drake May. But can North Carolina's defense do anything? They got better as the season went on last year. They were horrendous at the beginning. But I just don't know. I mean, if South Carolina comes out playing like they did the last couple games of last regular season, they're going to score a ton on North Carolina. Yeah. Now, they may give up a bunch too, but that's until North Carolina shows you they can stop anybody, I can't trust them. And then, now I'm lost in my train of thought again. What was the other game?
The Colorado and TCU.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it. Yeah.
So here's the deal. TCU should win this game pretty easily. We will see what happens with Coach. How much better did he make them quickly? Now, Travis Hunter, the corner who came from Jackson State, who also plays receiver, is probably the best player on the field and will be the best player on the field in a lot of games they play. But the problem is it's really hard to find good big guys in the portal, and that's where I worry, that they just won't be able to hold up on the lines of scrimmage. TCU is, now, interestingly enough, did a lot in the portal this year too, but it's more skill position stuff. Their big guys are ones that they've kind of developed themselves for the most part. TCU should be really good again this year. I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year, but they were also kind of charmed last year. So it may be that they're close to what they were last year, but the record doesn't show it because they kind of caught the breaks last year. This time I'm not sure they will, but they still could be a 9-win team, 10-win team. So that's a tough ask for Colorado, given all the turnover right out of the gate.
Andy, are you surprised at all? And it's different everywhere, I guess, but is Clemson kind of now just kind of lost in the mix a little bit after their run after year after year?
I feel like we've forgotten about them a little bit, and understandably so. They got really stale offensively and probably stayed with DJ Uiagalelei too long, and so now they bring in Garrett Riley from CCU to run the offense. If you look back at Dabo Swinney's history at Clemson, when he has brought in fresh blood and fresh ideas, they tend to take a pretty big leap. And so I'd be scared if I was the rest of the ACC because they still have elite talent on that roster. It's really a matter of, can they find some playmaking receivers because they're going to have good backs. Cade Klubnik seems pretty good at quarterback, but we need to see a bigger sample size. But I go with what, when they hired Chad Morris, when they hired Brent Venables, like that's when they took their biggest leaps.
Andy, can I say one thing? The Pac-2 is going through some changes, but they're going to keep their heads up.
I've got so many tears for how bad those were.
Oh,
so many tears.
Wow. Changes?
Goodness. Dear Mama, please help us.
Sample Bruce Hornsby? Come on.
Subscribe to Andy Staples on 3 and just hit him up whenever you get the opportunity and want to talk some college football. Andy, great stuff, man, as always. Thank you.
All right, see you guys.
All right, there's Andy Staples. Kayla beat me to the punch. I literally was just pulling up a list to choose from and do the exact same thing for the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Brenda's got a conference. That was cold. That was cold-blooded.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend don't understand a lot of these references. Coming up.
Some good stuff.
Final
right
call
there.
for phone calls. How do you want it? Tell us at 615-737-1045. You can't see me, but you can hear us for just a couple more minutes when we come back.
It's Ramon Foster for Zen Sports, and it's football season. Yes, and it's time to make a switch. Where, Ramon? Don't switch your college team. Switch your sports betting app, and that's to Zen Sports, the fastest growing sports book in Tennessee, changing the bonus game with their cash rewards program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with the referral code, earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for the first 15 days of betting. Think about that for a second. It's insane. Straight cash right back to your account. And if you have friends who bet on Zen Sports, share your Zen Sports referral bonus code with them. Yes, you will earn 3% of the betting volume for the first 6 months of betting on Zen Sports with no cap on how much you can earn. What are you waiting for? Stop wasting time and money on other sportsbooks when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
This time tomorrow, you will be 1 hour away from kickoff, which you'll be able to hear right here on 104.5 The Zone as Tennessee takes on UVA. Final call for phone calls here as we wrap up your Friday RKW. 615-737-1045. We asked the question to each other. What is the one question you want answered tomorrow when Tennessee takes on UVA? That coming up in just a moment. But first, we go back to the phones where Dougie is in Nashville. What's up, Dougie?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, good buddy.
Happy college football opening weekend, baby. I'm hyped. LS who?
Ah.
LS who? Florida State, baby. Let's go. LS who? Coming. You think Jordan Travis going to lay down? You think Trey Benson's going to lay down? You think Fabian Lovett's going to lay down? You think Jared Verse is going to lay down?
Keep going.
Keem Dent,
Keep going.
Keem Dent's going to lay down?
Keep going.
LSU. Y'all want some respect? Come get it, baby.
Come be
get
my
it. Come
team.
get that respect. Let's go. Florida State.
There's Dougie in Nashville.
Teaching us how to Dougie, baby.
Oh, hey. He came in too hype, well, I had to join him.
Go Braves, man.
Too good.
Nice of you to support Ronald Acuna with the tomahawk chop this morning.
I did. I mean, after you hit a grand slam,
The rightful
2 outs,
MVP
2
of
strikes.
Major League Baseball.
2 strikes.
Hey, hear me out. If you're going to call in and talk opening week, that's how you need to do it. You hear me?
Yeah.
Trash Talk Friday.
Trash Talk Friday, baby.
It's
I'm here
3HL's
for it.
thing, but I think it just started now.
I mean, we can bar it for a little bit. You feel me? You're okay with that. Hope Brenton and Savage wouldn't mind.
It's too good.
It's too good.
Where's Dawn again this weekend?
She is in New Orleans.
She said she's going to
with
Baton
South
Rouge.
Alabama and
Jags.
Tulane.
Okay.
South Alabama and Tulane. Who created Mardi Gras?
My favorite part, by the way, of the video of all the players giving their college allegiances that the Titans did the other day was Derrick Henry's out there just talking about Alabama, and Tajay Spears is just standing right behind him, looking at the camera stoically, saying nothing, doing the roll wave sign like a false start, which is like their thing. And he doesn't say a word. He just looks. The perfect running back, too, just right behind Derrick, just
not saying a word,
looking in the camera.
Watch there. That was good.
Dude, those guys are dudes. They love each other.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Let's go to Lee in Hermitage. Final call, 615-737-1045. Hey, Lee.
Come on with it, Lee.
Hey, guys. Hey, man. Love being on the show. Love you guys. But, dude, I got to put that boy in his place.
Do it.
LSU is going to rock Florida State.
Okay.
We had to make a ton of mistakes in Brian Kelly's first game at LSU in order for them to beat us. We missed 20-yard field goals. It's not happening this time. I guarantee a freaking 14-point victory, and Jaden Daniels is going to run it down your Lincoln throat. LSU!
Man! Go off, baby.
Go Tigers.
That was good, right?
I had to put that tiger back in his cage. He was distant a little close to the sun there.
Yeah, he was kind of getting close.
Scaring me.
I could see Icarus's wings melting just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He had the stop button there.
Man. Hey, I love this. That's a big game.
Biggest question you want answered for Tennessee tomorrow is what?
I'm going to do the most obvious one, and then I'm going to do a second one. Most obvious one for me, for the Vols, you said, can his O-line protect?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that. Primarily in the interior. I need to see that considering Mays is out, okay? And then my second question, my second concern, Will, I know you only said one, but I'm going to give you two, like Coach Mack would do. Ron, can Joe deliver the 7-yard passes?
Yeah.
Intermediate passes.
Mine's all about Joe. I just want it's all about Joe. Can he pick up from what he did last year at the end of the season? What does he look like? Yeah. It's all Joe.
For me, specifically for Joe Milton, has his pocket presence improved enough where he knows when to run in the right moments? I want to see Joe Milton lower his shoulder against a defensive back and run them over. Yeah. He runs a little too soft for a big guy, and he doesn't have the internal clock he needs yet to run when he needs to and evade the pocket. I think with a new offensive line for Tennessee that will be playing together for the first time, there are going to be some frustrating moments for this Tennessee offense. I think you have to remember how frustrating at times that Clemson game was in the first half too, where it only takes a couple of 70-yard go routes to Squirrel White to make you feel a lot better. I think Tennessee tomorrow looks a bit out of sync on offense, but I think the scoreboard won't necessarily reflect that at the end of the day. I think ultimately the big playability of this offense paired with the run game makes the difference. I think for Tennessee, we are going to see the debut of their new hallmark on offense. I think this team is going to run the football at the top 2 or 3 teams in the SEC this year.
Sure.
I think Tennessee is predicated on running downhill this season and beating people on the ground, and I think that's what they're going to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, too.
I agree.
Nice shift, honestly, and it would be needed to help this team grow.
And it's similar to what happened against Vandy in that win last season, where Joe was not great in that game, and Tennessee won 56-0 because Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, and Jabari Small weren't untouched on about 5 runs. So ultimately, I think you may see something like that tomorrow. I think Tennessee will be pretty feast or famine. I don't think you'll see a lot of 12-play, 80-yard drives that take up a bunch of clock. I think it's going to be big strikes over in the air and big strikes on the ground.
Yes, indeed.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
And Monday morning, we will be live for you.
We will be.
On your Labor Day. We will be talking college football, previewing a Titans game week. Let me say that again. A Titans game week that begins on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot to discuss Labor Day. We're not going to be taking it off. We'll be laboring with you. Back at it then. Enjoy the football tomorrow. Ramon Foster, send us home.
Y'all know how it goes on Fridays, man. Enjoy each other, hug somebody, love each other, have a random conversation, buy somebody else a beverage. But at all times, man, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.